Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yes, looks like my mic is working. Hello and welcome. Welcome one and all. Welcome to the office hours. How's everyone doing? Hey, Outlaw Knight. I'll be right back, by the way. And when I come back, I will, we'll start everything up. So enjoy the music for now. I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. This is a live stream, by the way, y'all. So if you're watching this after the fact, that's why I'm kind of shooting stuff. All right. All right, right back. All right. Hello, everybody. Let's get to the office, shall we? Hello, and welcome to the AstroPub, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul, Berserker1, Batman Shell, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Welcome to office hours. Hey, Tree. How's everyone doing? That's actually kind of funny. Look at some of the pictures here. Yeah. Hanging in there? Yeah. Had our long weekend with some PTO, so 6 days off. Woo! Nice there, see daddy, nice. Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that. It's a pretty big week in terms of like information. We got a monthly report, obviously 2 monthly reports and a roadmap roundup. But it's a slow week in terms of video content for sure. And we didn't get any patches this week. I know we're probably not going to get any patches till next week. I do have to say again, and for those of you who don't know, Xylo confirmed that they won't likely have a 3.18.1 out this weekend, or this week. They'll probably be out next week. Now, at the time, yesterday, I had forgotten that this weekend is Easter weekend, so a lot of people are going to just have that day off. So that's probably the reason why it's a little later. But it highlights the problem that CIG has, which is they have a tendency to firefight with dates. And I will say this again, it's a bad move on CIG's part. It's a terrible tendency they have. And personally, I am not interested in them continuing this, so I really hope they fix it. And for those of you who don't know what I mean by firefighting with dates, I mean when people lose their utter minds about something, CIG will throw out a date to placate people. But just like the boy who cried wolf, those dates are becoming less and less believable. And eventually, when CIG puts out a date, no one's going to believe them. I'm not saying that people don't already do so. I'm saying there's a lot of people out there who are new to the community, who haven't been through this with CIG before, and don't realize how often CIG does just kind of has dates that they miss. So the fact that they already have dates that they miss is bad. But then to throw out a date that you didn't reach, but is done intentionally to placate people, or done maybe partially to placate people, it becomes impossible to tell the difference between the two. Yeah, 3.18.1 was supposed to come out a week after 3.18 came out. They're like, oh, our plan is to hit it out. We think we can get it out there. And I get it. Plans change. Things happen like that. But especially after the disaster that 3.18 was, and just still so many people can't play, just straight up can't play the game. Don't do that. So I don't agree that don't put a date on something. I believe if you put a date on something, make sure you have lots of caveats. And CIG's done that in the past, and I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have is when you already have a problem, don't make it worse by trying to pretend it's not a problem. I remember this was very, very poignant when they did something similar, or Aaron Roberts did something similar when they announced they were doing staggered development. Basically promising that things would speed up now. They had staggered development. And it's like, but we know that staggered development wasn't really designed for speeding up development, at least not initially. It was designed to give people rest, to let developers sleep and take more time in what they're doing, which is exactly what they stated. But then he went on to go be like, don't worry. It's like, it's this placation, this desire to get people to not be mad at them, which is always a problem. Let people be mad at you, CIG. If you're honest and upfront, people being mad at you is just going to happen anyways. You're never going to make everyone happy. And there's a large vocal minority of the community that will scream and shout and pout and throw their fists up in the air and throw shit around because they're just mad. Because instead of getting a therapist, they decide that they're going to take it out on a video game that they backed or didn't back or whatever. So like, you know, just don't. And personally, I'm tired of people using my comment sections and videos as unpaid therapy. I'm going to start billing people for those rants that I see people go on. The advertising for Lasting Legacies is going to exacerbate the problems for them. I think they should have stopped that ad campaign once they realized how bad it was going to be. But they chose not to, which I think is it's a learning lesson. That's not something I'm going to like pin CIG to the wall for, but it's definitely something that CIG should learn, is that the marketing needs to talk with development. And they need to know when to not do things. And who knows, maybe marketing said, you know, this is a bad idea, let's not go forward with it, and they got overruled by upper management. I don't know what is going on behind the scenes at CIG. All I know is that it was a poor choice. That sucks, Paul? No, I mean, that's a joke. I mean, it's quite literally, like, there are some people who are quite unhinged when they come into my comment section. I usually make light of it, but you know, as an educator and as somebody who has at least limited experience with dealing with people with neurodivergent or other, you know, maybe psychological trauma and such, get a therapist. Seriously. Like, it helps you a lot more than being mad at a video game. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I haven't been. My students are a lot more. So someone, Devasi said, as an educator, you have thick skin. My students are a lot more mean to me. I've heard a lot worse things from my students than I've heard online. There's some pretty lazy takes I've heard. All right, so someone asks, a bunch of people are asking, complete wipe for 3.18 and 3.18.2. I don't care. Like, I know there was a huge exploit that they fixed, but if CIG chooses not to wipe, I'm cool with it. If they choose to wipe, I'm cool with it. At this point, there's enough 40K errors that are wiping people's accounts anyways that fuck it. Like, if the goal was to reset everyone, which it wasn't, it was because they had a brand new system, then yeah, just do that. Like, and there might be some people who complain about it, but I can't imagine the vast majority of Star Citizen players are even playing Star Citizen right now. Hey, Wendy. Students nowadays are more fragile than back in the good old days. Nah, they're pretty resilient. They just have a lot more empathy. They care about each other a lot more than when, like, they were a lot meaner people in the when I was growing up, which is nice. It's nice to know that kids are a lot more empathetic and willing to talk with one another and work with one another. They're a lot more open. I wonder if wipes help performance. It has to help performance. I'd be okay with a wipe. 3.18 was a mess. It's better, cleaner start to get wiped before. We say that, but CIG's not going to do that. CIG's not going to wipe. They won't wipe unless they absolutely have to, because they don't like to do that. They want to test their systems as messy and as messed up as they are to try to figure out if they can find breaks before it actually matters. Because quite frankly, and this is going to be like here's a bit of a douse of reality for all of y'all who've been playing this game a lot. Star Citizen is an alpha. Whether you get mad when people say that, whether you think it's an excuse, it doesn't matter. It's not the final game. So nothing you do now matters. Nothing you do in game right now has any lasting impact. Eventually you'll experience another wipe. It's gonna happen. Maybe sooner than later. We could experience a wipe every single patch from now until 4.0. We could have a wipe every single patch after 4.0. I don't know. You don't know. CIG doesn't know. So if they wipe, if they don't wipe, it doesn't matter either. So a positive note, Paul, we need you to pick a thing from the roadmap roundup that is the most interested, as well as something from the monthly report. We'll talk about it. We'll look over the roadmap roundup, which is interesting. I'm not going to complain. I just want good running game. If that's what it takes, so be it. Well, I mean, that's the thing. We're not going to see a good running game until they fix with more, like, it's just firefighting. It's a Band-Aid to wipe to improve performance. Because it's going to reach the same levels of bad stuff in, like, soon after anyways. They need to have other tools, which they haven't developed yet, or more improved brain no work. Performance overall, so I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I don't know why. I've got a long weekend, so my brain's already turned off. I don't want to say maintenance and performance boosts and that kind of stuff, but yeah, that kind of stuff. You will say CIG's been more transparent than they used to be? Yeah, I'm glad with it. It's the one thing I will not say CIG shouldn't do. I'm glad that, you know, part of me is as well, I'm okay that they're talking about internal dates, but I think CIG needs to be more careful when they talk about internal dates, if they are going to be using internal dates, especially around serious issues like 318. Because, like, the thing is that when people are like, well, CIG knew that it was going to be this bad, then why didn't they tell us? And it's like, they did. Several times. Well, I didn't see it because you didn't see it on a video. It didn't exist. I mean, I know Star Citizen fans often are like illiterate, but come on, y'all. Like, multiple people have talked about it. When do you see 319? I mean, it's hard to tell. CIG seems to think it's going to come out before Invictus, but the fact that 318.1 is coming out maybe next week, and it's like the middle of April by then, I couldn't tell you. Live, not PTU. You're having fun regardless? Yeah, I will say I've been having a lot of fun with 318. Like, I don't mind if they wipe, but like they've added a lot of fun back into the game. And this is going to sound weird, but a lot of stuff they've added back into the game, or added to the game recently, is effectively what they took out a long time ago, but slightly improved. Like smuggling, for instance, is fantastic. It's fun. It's interesting to go through. It's interesting to kind of dive in and pull apart. It's a nice semi-relaxing gameplay loop that has you on edge because you never know what's going to happen. That's great. That's fantastic. It's all about outthinking, you know, pirates and your opponents and all these other things. It's great. It's awesome. The issue is, like, just logging in is a problem. And once you get past logging in, the weird little bugs and other issues that happen. You had no idea the telemetry page existed? It's something they made a big deal with a long time ago. But yeah, it still exists. For those of you who don't know, I think exclamation point telemetry in chat will get you a link. I actually have it linked to it. I don't know if that pulled anything up. No? Okay. We used to have a telemetry command. I think I may have removed it. Or performance or something like that. I'd have to look it up. It's not about the Scourge railguns you've collected. It's about the friends you've made along the way. From one war crime to an X. To be fair, it is Apocalypse Arms. They were built as war crimes, portable war crimes. Yes, I think it's right now at 318. I have to update it to X World Trade 319, but yeah, that's the link, I think. Yeah, that's it. Let me fix that. Mans. There we go. Added the command. So you now can add exclamation telemetry in Twitch chat and it'll pop up. Hey, Paul, any words on if they're going to put in new circuits in Arena Commander? Thanks. Yeah, we're going to read through the monthly report. They talk about that, I believe, in there. But I haven't gone through all of it yet. So it looks like it's not being added to Arena Commander in 319, as far as I can tell. Because they just pushed all the rework to game dev. So they have the new front end, lobby system, racing tracks, and more. Oh, racing tracks. So yeah, it is in 319. At least it's in game dev. So I believe we're in the golden age of moving forward in the development of Star Citizen. We're closer to the end than the beginning. Yeah, I mean, we are. It's pretty obvious. You read this monthly report, you see how CIG is developing and how they're moving. We're definitely moving to that one. Hey, Red Hawk. You got your Airbnb for LA today? I haven't even bothered yet. I will eventually, but. Oh. See what loading times were and telemetry for the last 24 hours. So loading times are so for the last 24 hours, the average load time for Star Citizen is 185 seconds, which is kind of high. That's over 2 minutes, which is pretty bad. Minimum load time was 22 seconds, and maximum time was 562 seconds. CIG's recent ad campaign is problematic considering performance. CIG's been doing ads on YouTube for years now. It's not recent. Hey, Certified Gumbo. All you ever get is see ads and Eve ads. I don't have ads on my YouTube, so I don't know what they look like. Now, the advantage that Star Citizen has is that you just load up once and you never load up again, which is nice, but at the same time, that's pretty fucking high. I mean, I still see web ads, but I see them on websites and stuff like that where and it's usually just stuff that gets past my filters. So I had a second impact. And again, I wouldn't say CIG's ad campaign is problematic. I think it's poorly timed is all it is. You used to make Google ad campaigns. They work. They do work. It's just, no. Not on people like me. But okay. I woke up this morning and realized that I had Friday off. It was like, I have Friday off. We're going to be doing a sponsored stream tomorrow, courtesy of Renfield, which is funny because I got the offer to promote Renfield for like $200. I was like, a movie that I want to go see myself is offering to pay me money to promote it. Yeah, I'll do that. that's 100% in my like legitimately like moral interest at that point. Renfield, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, and I'll explain more about it yet tomorrow. It's a horror comedy, which is follows Renfield, who's Dracula's assistant, trying to get out of working for Dracula, and Dracula is played by Nicolas Cage. Renfield is also, like, the guy who plays Renfield is Nicholas Hoult. You'll know Nicholas Hoult because he played the he was in The Menu as one of the main people. He was in Warm Bodies, I believe, as the love interest, and he was in Mad Max Fury Road as the war boy, the one who hung out with Max and stuff like that. He's in a bunch of different movies and TV shows. He's a fantastic comedian. I'll pull up his image so you can see what I mean. There you go. This one. That's Nicholas Hoult. He's fantastic in The Great, which is if you like historical TV shows, it's on Hulu. It's a comedy. It's fantastic. It's got I want to say Elizabeth Olsen. I can't remember. I don't think it is, but yeah. Oh, he also played the Beast in the X-Men reboot, the First Class. He played Beast. Forgot about that. He's in The Menu and stuff like that. Yeah, history. It's not historical at all. It's vaguely gesturing towards historical. That's why it's great. It's all the trappings of history with none of the baggage. What's the topic for this moment? Oh, we're just talking about the sponsor for tomorrow's stream, but we'll be talking a little bit about we'll be going over the monthly report, but we're also going to go over the roadmap roundup. So, have they mentioned full wipe? Is you're the second person who's mentioned a full wipe? I don't think CIG's actually mentioned anything but a full wipe, but I'm going to check. Okay. Let us read together, chat. We want to provide a quick update on expected coming releases. Our initial goal is to avoid a needed wipe for databases for upcoming patches. However, due to current state of Alpha 3.18's database and numerous hotfixes, we've implemented 6.3.18, more than 50. We have concluded that a couple of full wipes, AUEC items and reputation, will be necessary to improve stabilize the service. For those interested in what's going on under the hood, alongside myriad of changes shook up our database, we uncovered an issue with the identity service related to player IDs, which is revealed through the error 40Ks. And some of you may be encountering. While we resolve this issue, and many others like it, we'll still require a wipe to get all our cogs and wheels back in the right place. For both Alpha 3.18.1 and 3.18.2, we'll perform these wipes alongside a hearty list of improvements and optimizations, which will make your gaming experience much smoother. Okay, well, nothing matters in 3.18 right now. So there goes that discussion. I thought they wouldn't, but yeah, CIG will only wipe if they absolutely have to. And apparently they absolutely have to, so. What the fuck? They should not have to wipe rep for almost any reason. That's not cool. Yeah, they do. Because it has to. They explain, as CIG or as Xylo just explained, it had to deal with player ID issues, and your reputation is tied to your player ID. So, if they have to correct your player ID, then yeah. What also means that you tried telling you. Well, there's been so many people popping onto my streams over the last 2 weeks asking about wipes. I'm just like, I haven't seen anything. For those of you who don't know, by the way, yeah, they're wiping for both. So, like, don't play Star Citizen for a couple of weeks. All right, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show you this off real quick. If you're interested on if something is legitimate or not, here's the front page of the RSI website. Here's some useful tools. First of all, if you want to go up here, you can check out the games for development, all these sorts of things, games, Squad 42, Star Citizen. And then under apps, you have the Community Hub, the Roadmap, the Star Map, and the Galactopedia all here, plus telemetry, Issue Council, Launcher, and Spectrum. So if you ever need to read down the launcher, you can just go to the apps and re-download it. Then they have all this information here, which is all the kind of stuff similar up there. Latest comm links, which is good. Most people don't go beyond here, though, because here we have latest developer activity. Anyone who posts in Spectrum who is a member of CIG staff will show up on this list. It's basically an API that tracks all of CIG's official staff postings on and like just anything they're posting. It doesn't have to be an official or things. If they just memeing in there, they'll explain it. So, like, patch updates, Xylo's updates, all those sorts of things. So if you see something in Reddit and you're like, I don't know if it's true or not. Like, for instance, there was that fake post that someone made of Xylo explaining that they were releasing the Polaris and the Perseus this year. And everyone was like, that's fake. And I looked at him like, that looks fake. It's fake as fuck. Goes around April 1st. You can just go to the developer activity stuff on the front site and it'll tell you if it's there or not. Basically until Invictus? Well, it depends. That's a good question. Let me do a poll. Do you think we will see 319 at Invictus, before Invictus? You run a poll on Twitch and YouTube. Oop. There, YouTube and Twitch, you have the option. And Invictus at the end of May, so. 117G, I'm going on there. What? Garth Brandis? The money exploits, I don't think were a big deal, at least at this moment. Yeah, I don't think CIG is wiping because of the money exploits. It seems like they're wiping because of the 40K issues. I think it's a little pessimistic to say we won't see 318.1. But again, it's important to remember 319 is not going to require the same amount of time in Evocati and PTU as 318 does, because it's not as fundamental of a change. So it's going to be more of a normal-ish patch, which is usually a couple weeks in Evocati, maybe 1 or 2 weeks in PTU, and then at release. That's still like a month to a month and a half in testing before it releases. And even if you have Invictus releasing at the end of May, so that's May 29th, let's just say that it starts. Right now it is April 6th. That means you have, if they released 3.18.1 next week, and then 3.18.2 the week after that, which would be very fast, then we would see release of Evocati maybe the week of the 24th, let's just say 28th, because CIG loves dropping on Fridays because they're nuts. And then it would be in live, or it'd be in PTU on the 12th, which would mean that it would be live by the 26th. They would barely have enough time for that sort of release schedule. They've done it before. Will they pay us for time played? You are a... no, they won't. Almost certainly not. Oh, yeah, no, we will always see an update. There will definitely be a patch before Invictus. I couldn't tell you if it's going to be a 3.18.2 or 3.18.3 or if it's going to be a 3.19. I thought that when CIG said that they were releasing 3.18 before they were releasing 3.18 and they wanted 3.18 to be the IAE patch. I'm like, okay, that's bad, but hell or high water, they're going to do that because they want to make money. And then they missed it. So the fact that CIG said 3.19 is coming out for Invictus, I don't know. CIG said this before and been wrong, so why pay game testers when you have testers to play? They actually do have a large staff of QA who test the game. And I do want to correct a misconception that often comes up with gamers, which is QA does play the games. They do test it, and likely if there's a bug, they have found it and reported it to their dev teams. The reason why it's not fixed is not because of the testers, it's because of the dev teams. Some manager said it's not priority or it's livable, that kind of thing. So almost certainly every bug in the game has been discovered by a QA person at some point in Star Citizen development. Known shippables, it's a struggle of QA. Yeah, Q&A. It's just, that's the reality. So don't shit on them because they are literally the lowest paid people in any video game company, which is already a garbage pay as it is. And they work ungodly hours. And are honestly fucking heroes for what they do in the game industry. If you like video games and you've ever played a decent video game, thank QA. And thank the whole dev team. It takes a village. It's really a collaborative art game development is. Which is a shame that we tend to single out one person or one company when all of the devs make that game, not just a couple of people. But at the same time, QA is like the unsung heroes at times. Then there's no chance in hell they'll push back launch week. They push back Stella Fortuna. So they may push it back further. Oh, wow. That's surprising. So, YouTube says no. They're not releasing 3.19 live before Invictus. But Twitch says they are. 56% on Twitch said yes, and on YouTube, 51% said no. It's very, very interesting. It's very divided in terms of people. Hey, Samatawar, how you doing? As a QA tester for another company, I can agree that QA is just playing a game not exactly the same, and playing just game the same. It's a grind, but it's a fun job if you don't mind the repetition. Yeah, there's some people who are built for QA, and there's some people who are very good at their jobs, but there's often an undue amount of hate or like, did they even play the game? It's like they did. QA did. They probably reported the same bugs. Don't attack those people. YouTube, but people are smarter and older. You know, here's the thing. I've noticed that when I stream on YouTube and Twitch is a lot more focused Like, they have a lot more faith in Star Citizen. I find that YouTube folks tend to be a lot more cynical about Star Citizen. And I think it's because there are two different versions of the Star Citizen community in Twitch and YouTube. The Twitch community is heavily focused on gameplay. You'll still see people like myself doing office hours and talking about the game a little bit and being Captain's Table. But the vast majority, I'm not the #1 streamer. I have a lot of people watching me. It's fantastic. Thank you for all 121 of you on Twitch who are watching me. But let me go to the Star Citizen category right now, and which has almost 2,000 people watching. #1 is Zero, who's playing the game. Then Red Lear, who's playing the game, and Blasphemous, who are playing the game. All of them are playing the games. I am only one of the only people who's just talking. Everyone else is playing the game. And I think because Twitch focuses on the game itself, they tend to focus Star Citizen as a game and tend to see it in that kind of perspective. Whereas YouTube, the vast majority of people watching YouTube are not watching gameplay footage. They're watching news coverage, they're watching commentary, and that sort of thing. So it tends to be much more focused on that aspect of things. So whenever a patch gets delayed, YouTube tends to be focused on like that's where the clickbait comes in and stuff like that. So it's an interesting dynamic between the two sides. I think it's just because of people go to different platforms for different content. No, I mean, the demographics are pretty solid in both YouTube and Twitch. They're Midgards. The average age of anyone following Star Citizen content is about 40. There are some younger folks, for sure. Especially, they tend to skew younger on Twitch than YouTube. But my demographics are pretty much the same on both. I'm too new to the game to hate on it. I'm still fascinated by the game. I'm glad, Half Sack. Welcome. Keep that innocence. Hold on to it. Hopefully you'll never lose it. I play the game. Why would I want to watch the game? I want to hear news and such on YouTube. Well, yeah, and I think that's another thing. Well, there's a different demographic for each game. Like, for instance, I would never get by just doing lore content on Twitch. There's just no one who'd watch that. And for those of you who are watching me now on Twitch and YouTube, I do play the game. I play the games usually right before Captain's Table on Saturdays. I try to play it with groups on Sundays if I can, and I play it on Fridays when I can as well. There's 70 people on YouTube that I can see who are watching me. 69, 76. I just jumped a little bit. So, I miss Relics too. I don't know if they fixed the problem of them spawning in. I would never watch someone playing a game. So watching gameplay does make me younger. That's the easier health advice I've heard. Thank you. No, I'm an old fart and I watch gameplay footage of other games too. But I just find that, like, look at if you just in YouTube, like, search for Star Citizen and look at what the top results are. The videos that buck the trend are Banana Bread, or I think Banana Bed's videos, because they do a lot of gameplay videos, but it's more narrative driven, like a narrative driven content. Whereas most of it is going to be Board Gamer, myself, Salty Mike, like a litany of people who are covering the development news of the game. Did you do a poll on age? I don't need to. I can see your demographics. Pull up my analytics. Half of you are from the United States, 8% of you from Canada, 8% of you from Germany, 7% of you from the United Kingdom, 3% are from Australia, 3% are from France. And I'm pulling up my analytics right now to fully have everything up there. It's on both sides. There's YouTube. And the average audience is exactly the same. It's a little lower or a little higher in terms of 25 to 34 year olds. Mine's on Twitch, it's like 36%. On YouTube, it's 34%. And then 35 to 44 year olds is about the same, around 38%. And 45 to 54 year olds is about 20%. So I would say more than half of my audience is over the age of 30 on both sites. Oh, and 99.7% of you identify as male online. So there are no women on the internet. Yeah. 3 a.m. here. Good thing tomorrow's off work. We're staying up for the stream. Only if you want to, my brother. You can go with that. Still live in Austin? Yep. Austin, Texas. Nearly 40%, yeah. Should have plenty of views in between to get some good data. But I like a year between uploads. Only 99.7. What could CIG do to engage more people who identify as female in regards to Star Citizen? It's hard to tell because I would say that this is going to sound, because I've asked this question before to women who play Star Citizen. And their responses are almost universally, we like the same things that men do. But personally, based off of my own experience in marketing, again, this is based off of not exact data because I didn't do marketing for video games, so I don't know exactly this. But based off of my own research and my own experience, generally speaking, the more you can make an avatar your own, so the more you can customize your character and your experience, the more it will reflect and relate to women who tend to play video games. But generally speaking, women are more as likely to play an FPS game as men are. All of the demographics are about the same. It's just where women tend to get accessible, like can have access equity in terms of video games, tend to be mobile and console gaming and PC gaming, but only on MMOs. Like the vast majority of women, last I checked this demographics, were like MMOs are the most even demographic, about 50-50 split. So effectively just look at what other MMOs are doing and copy it. Most girls I know that game tend to want to play fantasy or horror over sci-fi. Well, Star Citizen is a secret horror game. You'll see in the future, but yeah. I have an answer. More of us have to identify as women. I thought that works too. Hey, Celine. Celine can help us, but I'm sure Celine would say the same thing. Thank you, Midgards. Thank you, Midgards. It's a good question because as much as it's a weird question to ask, the reality is that getting more people involved in the game is just better for the game. Getting more women involved in Star Citizen would involve more money coming into Star Citizen, which would diversify the population, give us a different impact. And maybe we could push for some better fucking customization. Because the hair tech and the customization tech the CIG has in Star Citizen is atrocious. which is very difficult, very different, because if you look at the development teams of Star Citizen, the people who actually work on Star Citizen, they're fairly balanced. There's plenty of people who identify as women in Star Citizen. There's plenty of people who are from different ethnicities from all over the world. There are plenty of age differences. It's a fairly diverse crew. Even people who, in terms of sexual orientation, it's pretty diverse. So because it's a fairly diverse game, you'd expect some fairly diverse output, but it still seems to mostly attract men. I think that'll change though as Star Citizen becomes more of a game. In its defense, it's an alpha. That is true. It's not done yet. Add more functionality and detail to DU. Yeah, that too. Holy shit, that'd be nice. Just so I don't have to like the toxic shit. Speaking of cosmetics for ships, give us more customizable ships like 300. Like the 300? Yeah. Hair, feminine clothing, diverse character customization, please. Yeah, I don't know. CIG seems to be allergic to feminine clothing. I don't know why. I just don't know why they are allergic to feminine clothing. It's like, I get it. I get they don't want to, like, over-sexualize characters in Star Citizen, because Star Citizen's not that kind of game. But, like, a dress isn't over-sexualizing CIG. Like a skirt doesn't over-sexualize. And it's like, oh, well, then we may have to make it available for men. It's like, there are such things as kilts. CIG. Many cultures have different, have full fucking gowns that are practically gowns that people wear. More diverse, like, clothing options other than just more kind of the cyberpunk and modern, futuristic modernist-esque clothing would be nice too. I think crafting would also attract people, yeah. But I think customization's a big key. That'll attract more MMO people in general. Because right now, Star Citizen has a very big appeal to people who play other space games and Tarkov and other survival sims like that because of the way it's built. But I think as more stuff comes out that's more headed towards industry and crafting, you'll start to see more diverse groups of gamers get in there. But see, I want an RP my character going out of town and feel sexy, so there's nothing but they put on a sexy outfit. There's nothing wrong with sexy. There isn't nothing wrong with sexy. We'll get dresses and shirts once the bedsheet fabric tech is done. You joke, but I don't doubt that CIG is trying to turn that into like a fucking Sauron technology. For those of you who don't know what I talk about, and I'll explain this until everyone gets it. Sauron technology, or Sauron tools, is one tool to rule them all, and in the verse bind them. CIG tends to do these tools which are designed to do 50 different things at once so that they don't have to build bespoke tools for everything. An example of this would be I don't know if it's called the room system, if it's called something else. It's the system they developed for space stations. They use that to develop caves, and then they've used it to develop underground facilities. They're using it to develop the interior of buildings, and they're using it to develop jump points, like the jump point wormholes. So, like, it's the same tech. They're using it all for the same stuff. There is a fabulous cape in 318. It just doesn't swish enough, though. No, we haven't got to it. I always go towards the end, and we just started. We've only been for an hour or so. Do people still spend time customizing their appearance? I stopped that for my third character reset. They do. Some people have their own full stuff, but I get why people have just kind of stopped. I've stopped personally as well. More swishy clothing. Oh, yeah. I just need my hab and my farm. Yeah. Hey, Sandy Claus, how you doing? Ironically, I think after 318.2, they should be able to save your appearance permanently, which would be nice. No crips. My cape swishes enough when it clips through my neck and decapitates me. What comes in 3.18.2 to permanently save appearance? Persistence. They're just wiping everything in 3.18, 3.18.1, 3.18.2. But I imagine any tech that they do on the back end will start to like save more stuff about your character. Will start in 3.18.2 or 3.19. So I wouldn't be surprised if your character is got a permanent, or your character progresses beyond the patch come 3.19. Starcitizen's worst villain, wind. Wind can make you woo when you go outside with your ship by hitting the ramp. It can, but I would argue that it's the secret villain. The one villain that everyone thinks is the main villain is elevators. This was my first time playing with Starter Pack Aurora, and boy, this patch was rough. Still eager to play and love your lore videos. Gave me a huge insight. Thank you. No problem, Sessions. Yeah, this is a bad patch to get into. I would say 3.19 is a little bit better, and they have a free flight, but yeah, it's rough. To say that Star Citizen Alpha is an understatement. Now that PES is essentially in, shouldn't we be able to spawn vehicles inside our ships directly from the terminal soon? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this year if we removed the claim functions on ships and removed the Darj, it does highlight mentions, but I didn't see it. I'm looking through and I don't see any mentions. Oh, there we go. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime there when we will give 3.9.x before my 4-year AstroPub anniversary. Thank you, when we will load. I need to start putting that stuff in there a little bit more. At least get the like a little update or something like that. They got a date yet for what, OZ Lucky? For 3.18.1 or 3.18.2? Or 3.19? Oh yeah, wind is the secret enemy. I hate wind. The wind is my enemy. Yeah, I want my Akira bike to drive around the outskirts of Loreville. I believe it was removed out. It was moved into ePTU. So 3.18.1 is an ePTU, or 3.18.2 is the PTU. And the plan is to release 3.18.1, or at least have an update of 3.18.1 by next week. So what the fuck is happening with 3.18.1 and 3.18.2? It seems like they're out of order, PTU versus ePTU. So effectively 3.18.1 is finished, but CIG is doing some internal testing and load balancing. They're doing something that they don't usually do, which is they have some simulations they can run, but they usually don't hit them as hard as they have in the like as they are now. The reason why is because it takes more time, and then they have to process the data and figure out what happened and see how it works, all that kind of stuff. And usually they're on a tighter crunch. So 3.18.1 is still being worked on, but that doesn't stop 3.18.2 from being tested, because 3.18.1 is effectively letting people log into the game, fixing the 30K 09 errors and the 40K errors and so on and so forth to let people actually get in. And the 3.18.2 is the actual hot fix that will fix the game and like fix bugs and other issues like that. So 3.18.1, we will get an update of 3.18.1 next week. So it's not a confirmation that it's releasing next week. Given so much issues with 3.18 was not enough concurrency, it feels real weird to split the PTU between 3.18 and 3.18.2. It's because they're now doing more virtual load testing. Basically, they just didn't have enough virtual load on the... They didn't test it to the degree that they thought it was going to get beat. Help, I got stuck with an 11-hour work shift on my B-day, but my buddy gifted me the money for a pirate caterpillar. You can still buy it on, do you have a phone? Use your phone. All right, I'll be right back, y'all. Twitch or YouTube, if you're watching this or watching this after the fact, mute it till I come back because Twitch is about to lose their goddamn minds. Don't go anywhere. All right, I've returned. Stop it. Stop it right now. Did I turn off the sound alerts? I forgot to turn on the sound alerts, didn't I? Yeah. It's all right. My bad.
Weapons free, y'all.
All right. I took away your only joy. I know. How about that white? Hey, you know, I'm surprised they're doing it, but they're doing it because of the database. And I know CIG enough to know that the only reason why they wipe is because of a technical issue. It was at this moment that he knew. At least for now, the CIG doesn't care about exploits. They'll fix them, but they won't correct them.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Any chance you do a show with Dead Leader? He's one of the funniest Star Citizen creators out there. Please, you have to know who he is. I've never heard of him. I haven't heard of a lot of Star Citizen content creators because I don't actively go looking for them. When I do, I come across the same ones. But yeah, I'll try to get him on with Voidy. Voidy's another one of those very funny content creators. If you haven't watched them, they are fantastic.
2 words. Distress bacon.
You turned on the emote only? Yeah, Darj is the one who does that. You find them a bit edgy in a YouTuber kind of way? Who? Voidy or Dead Leader?
Drugs.
Are the sounds working now? Or did I mute them again?
Good news, everyone.
Okay.
Good news, everyone.
Why 2 wipes? I don't know. I don't know why CIG is wiping for 318.1 and 2. But obviously it's something they have to do. Full wipes. Full wipes. Is there a chance they'll combine both patches into one super patch? Maybe make up if there's 2 patches in the PTU? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So it's official. Full wipe. Not only for full wipe for 318.1, Timothy, but 318.2 as well. Hey, when you get covered, sometimes you gotta wipe twice. I'm glad to see the VTuber brain rot has not excluded Celine. And back, she had 100 mini babies around my parents' house while they were out drinking. Can't wait for the kid back. Wow. Yeah, full wipe. It's just facts. If you're wiping for each, they probably won't merge the patches. They'll probably be testing something in 318.1 to see if the effect of fresh database, and then try something else in 318.2 and repeat, yeah. Look, I only have partial rot. I ara, but never ooh. That's true. But one does not need to ooh to be hit with the bonk stick. All I can say, Celine, is that since I saw an uptick in VTubers in Star Citizen, I decided to look up VTuber and VTuber culture, and yeah, I know a lot more than I wish I knew that now. I know some streamers who are and need that bunk. Man, this is some like anyone who like listen, Jaded and Celine, my audience is over the age of 30. They have no idea what the fuck I just said we're talking about. Some of you do, because you're degenerates, and I love you, but a lot of you don't. Do not Google that at work. All I'm going to say, if you're watching this work, do not Google anything I just said. Is 28 still a baby? If you're not at work, go for it. Just make sure your safe search is on or off. I don't know. I don't know which one of it. Men and women of culture. Want to buy my Polaris? I just Googled it at work and now HR wants to talk to me. Anyone want to buy my Polaris? We're not talking about porn velocity. We're talking about cultural understanding and a specific language that's used in a certain subculture. Yeah, weeb shit. Hey, Q-Pen. I know more than I wish I knew, and I'm in it. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean porn, all right? Sometimes it could just mean, rated R. We'll just say that. Definitely ain't PG-13. Paul, you already have that Quantum Stellar game. You are already a degen. No, I knew that. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying I realized that like we're speaking in code that a lot of, because I know enough about the people who've commented on my videos to know that there's some people who legitimately don't know what a VTuber is. God, I'm sorry, named so long I didn't know anyone. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this within the bounds of Twitch TOS. Distinct birth, yeah. That all right. So we're gonna go even further, but we're gonna make it Star Citizen related. I will. One of the things that I firmly believe after CIG posted that CIG showed that they're working on being able to customize your hab with like posters and such, is that we need more variety of posters other than just ships. I know everyone loves ships, but in order to really flesh out the universe, we should see like movie posters. They have movies in the verse. They've referenced them in lore. Just come up with a couple of them. They already have posters in the verse, like the band posters. And everyone loves a good pinup poster or pinup calendar. There we go. Perfect. It's super easy. Give me the hot men of the UE military, all right? Or waifu pinups. I don't care. Just listen. Give me zero G SATA ball posters for various teams. Pico posters. Oh, perfect. I did not see the edit of the wall hanging. Show it to me, Celine. Show it to me. Hey, UK dude. Annual fireman calendar. Yeah, they were just examples. But again, going back to the previous thing that we talked about like clothing, CIG is strangely puritanical about that. Like, they seem to be very chaste in their decisions for clothing, and it's not even like that scandalous kind of ideas. Facts. Are there known Saddleball teams in lore? Yes, there are. Let me pull up Saddleball teams. So there are two different leagues. There's the Imperial League and the Territorial League. We have the Centauri Centurions, the Crowshot Jumpers. There's not a decision yet. There's either the Earth Eagles or the Soul Gladiators. There may be two teams. One's that's Soul and one's Earth. What doesn't matter. The Elysium Elementals, the Pharaon Lancers, the Idris Airhawks, the Olympic Vega, which is from Vega, the Redder Raiders, which is a great name, the SC Davian, the Stanton Knights. So Stanton has its own Saddleball team, the Stanton Knights. I'm guessing a Crusader team, about sponsor team. The Territorial League has the Baker Clusters, the Cathcart Gangsters, the Ellis Racers, the Fora Flamers, the Goss Bucks, the Keel Guardians, the Killian Killers, the Magnus Dominators, the Nemo Crashers, and the Terra Griffins. So, and there's a couple of other leagues. There's a couple other teams, the Angeli Eros, the Jata SC, the Jata ZGCC, and the JLA. Star Citizen lore wipe when? Never. Become VTuber. I've joked about that, but I will. It's a one of those jokes that I need to do. I'll put a lot of money into. I'll do it for an April Fool's joke. Topics of scripts addresses, I think more about animation. Jumping, crouching, or being prone while wearing a skirt dress, you'd need to have a difference in limitation to look good. Yeah, they definitely need to change some of the cloth physics. I don't think they have the new cloth physics they showed off in 2019, even in the game yet. But there are safety pants and stuff like that for normal skirts, which, you know, are sewed into a lot of skirts these days, so it's not that difficult. Thank you, Sleen. Magnus Dominators, you say? Yes. That's my home team, baby. Just mentioned that you needed alpha branded wet wipes in the merch. I do need that. I do need that. That's fantastic. All right, I'm pulling that up there. I'm putting that up there. Put this up. That's a fantastic edit there, Celine. Entirely tasteful. But something like that would be perfect. And as I said before, CIG, this is the perfect thing to add if you want to have like a sponsorship program with Star Citizen. A great personalization item is to make just like a poster for each creator and let them do it. Like put their like logos or whatever on the posters. It wouldn't be too distracting in lore. It could be whatever you need it to be. It's nice. It makes sense. It's a great idea. Speaking of April Fools, have you seen the Grand Thumbs April Fools YouTube video on the Mandalorian rifle? I haven't, no. So you're driving Dragonfly? Nice. So it's an inverse vehicle. Yeah, it works. Hey, Arthur, how you doing? Origin sponsors a team. Origin's in Terra, so it's hard to tell. There's some lore wipe coming. I guess there is a little bit of a lore wipe in the sense that they have brand new lore for Pyro, but they haven't changed it yet. I want to create a Saddleball team called the White Man Can't 890 Jump. Last of Us 2018, even longer ago. Was it 2018? I thought it was the last CitizenCon, which was 2019. The last like in-person CitizenCon. Hey, Loken, what's up, buddy? I agree. We need definitely custom nose art. Loken, I want to hear your thoughts on this. All right, so this is if you remember, I don't know if you saw this, but CIG, the last Star Citizen Live, or Inside Star Citizen, they mentioned that they were doing initial work on wall hangs, so like little like posters that you could then put on specific locations. And Celine showed me this, and I had the idea of like, this would be a perfect thing to do if CIG ever wanted to partner with streamers, would be to give streamers their own wall hangs that they could give out to fans. Because this is Celine Star Dragon, another content creator, who did this. Yeah, there's a Territon. It's like an edit, which is perfect. And something like that would be great. People put them on their habs. Yeah, exactly. It's very similar. That's why when I first saw it, that was my initial thought. And then Celine did this, and I'm like, this is a perfect idea. You're proud of how you got the art turn to fit the angle? Yeah, it works great. It would require CIG approving art, but like my logo, like it's not that hard. Here's CIG. Here's my PNG. High-res PNG. What were you up to, Logan? What were you doing? Some Star Citizen? Okay, I had to go for that poster. I'd pay for that. Yeah. Astro, make me less angry over the planned wipes of 3.18.1 and 3.18.2. You won't spend. It'll result in you it will result in you being less angry and trying to play the damn game. Oh, you checked out Everspace 2? Is it good? They have some nose art in the Heartseeker, don't they? Yeah, for sure. But I'd love to see them more custom. Well, I mean, as you said, Celine, we need the 300 level, what they did for the 300, but for all the ships. Solid freelancer vibes? Huh, I was planning on checking it out tomorrow, doing some Star Citizen, then checking that out, so. Oh my God, Cyberspace is so good. I kickstarted it back in the day, and I've talked with them in the past. I kickstarted Everspace 1 and Everspace 2, actually. I think my name's in the credits of Everspace 2. Did you enjoy it? Oh, awesome. Yeah, they make good Twitch drops. We'll see, like, for instance, CIG has been toying with the idea of doing a streamer partner program for a while. It's been floated a couple of times, but it's just never been time. And CIG does give out free ships to content creators, which is a very nice thing. It's a great thing to help us not have to pay for our own ships to give away, and it's a nice recognition for what content creators do for the community. But it's basically just whoever CIG knows and talks to. If there was a program that people could apply to, it would make it a lot easier for CIG to find those talents. The other thing that CIG has a blind spot for is YouTube. And so what they really need is somebody whose sole job is to take care of content creators. They need a content creator kind of like, not an affiliate, but like a community team member whose job is just to deal with content creators, because we're getting to that level. And this is just a great idea, because I think a lot more people would be good with giving away limited amounts of those, or doing them as unique Twitch drops, because it's a unique item that only people who follow those creators would do it. So, liaison, thank you, community content creator liaison. There's a term that's been used in the industry that I don't remember exactly. An influencer team, yeah. It's extremely awesome they do it for us, yeah. If only I could get free ships. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like none of the ships. Like we get these ships and we give them away. that's the point. They're more for promoting the stream and promoting the games. But content creator liaison, yeah. Even similar to War Thunder, how you can put decals that were made by the devs on your ship. Yeah. Influencer, more like influencer, am I right? Hey, you know what? I think it's Paramount. I don't remember who's publishing Renfield, but they're paying me to show that movie, and I was already going to go see it. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll shill for it. It's a fan. I'm looking forward to it. It looks hilarious. I'm going to go see it. Don't you laugh, see Daddy. See you there. You and your Paul's favorite ship, lol. No, we're not doing a giveaway right now, y'all. But like almost all my monthly giveaways, ! April in chat, both YouTube and Twitch, will give you the link. All of those are effectively sponsored by CIG, which is nice. Or provided by CIG, not sponsored. They just gave it to me. See that he's hyping League of Legends, clearly. Yeah. Don't go see the Mario movie, 3 out of 10. I've heard mixed results. I've heard some people say it's great. I've heard other people say it's garbage, so. I wasn't planning on doing it, but. See, I like Nicholas Hoult. So when I saw that Nicholas Hoult was playing Renfield, I'm like, I'm in. Anything that man does, I'm automatically interested in seeing. And then when Cam was like, yeah, but Nicolas Cage plays Dracula, I was like, this is the best movie of the year. Hands down, I have to see this. Because the last time Nicolas Cage played a vampire, we got literal enduring memes out of it. It was fantastic. You saw D&D, solid 5 out of 10. I've heard good things about the D&D movie. When you get those two together, I don't know if they've ever been in movies before together, but they sound like a great one. It's sad, but I think Sega does what Nintendo don't in movies. They almost didn't. I wish I wasn't so shy and could talk to CIG and stuff. Just email them. Here. I'll yell at Jake. I won't yell at him later. But yeah, just message Jake on my Discord. Just message him and be like, hey, I'm a content creator. I'd love to get added to those emails and added to that list. And then boom. But CIG doesn't have people to do that, which is sad. Like that'd be the. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna jinx myself. So, but yeah, it's a good idea that CIG gets someone like that, especially for YouTube, because that is their biggest blind spot. I know the people who run the community team, especially Xylo, are big Twitch fans. They're massive Twitch fans, which is fantastic. But Twitch is only one part of the community. Shadiversary, who hates everything, loved it. Yeah, I heard that the D&D movie was it was self-aware enough that it was fun and it felt like a D&D campaign, but they had the restraint to not go full meta D&D at a table sort of thing. Does liking the old D&D movie mean you have bad taste? No, it was fine. It just was kind of generic. I enjoyed the Wing Commander movie, and that thing is bland as fucking piss. I think a lot of people say it's terrible. It's not bad. It's just bland. So sad that they're doing multiple full wipes. Nerd Potion. All right, bring it in, folks. Bring it in. Let Lord Daddy explain to you something. All right, sit down, grab yourself your little juice box. Let me explain something to you. This isn't the last wipe. It won't be the last wipe for a while. You're going to get it again. You might even get one in 3.19 or in 3.20 or 4.0. Such is the nature of alpha. Yeah. They only do YouTube content for Star Citizen. Twitch seems complicated. It's just a different audience. I can almost guarantee a wipe for 4.0. It really depends on the back end. If we start to see, like in my wildest dreams, like my pipe dream for 4.0 is the new AI system and the first version of the dynamic economy, along with everything else. An expanded reputation system, pyro, those sorts of things. That's my absolute like dream release. Oh, and Bounty Hunter 2.0. I would be over the moon ecstatic if that was all going to be added in there. I don't think it's going to. But I don't see a reason to wipe in 4.0 unless there's a technical reason to. $100 million, there'll be another wipe in 5 years. Of course there will. There's going to be at least another wipe, probably by next year at the latest, I should say. Question: are they really considering the whole C soon? I hope they don't. No reason for it. I could see the whole C being released at IAE, but that's only if it's got the gameplay connected to it. I think CIG wants to release the whole C with 4.0 at the minimum. So. Remember back in 3.10 when we had to wipe every patch? Yeah, it used to be worse. But, you know, Velocity, you're showing your age. when CIG stopped wiping in 3.11, it was like, they didn't wipe for a year. And then they wiped in 3.17. And then they didn't wipe again until now. So, it's about a year. Once a year, they wipe just about. I would assume there would be some technical reason, because adding newer ships with their projected engineering overhaul as well as pyro, they're probably going to overhaul half the file and cloud share to compensate for every new feature. They could be, but it really depends because a lot of this stuff is more connected to the player database, and I can't imagine the player database being too, because that's the back end systems. It probably has little interactions with the direct interactions with the DGS, the dedicated game servers. But for this 3.18, it made sense. Basically, all the wipes we've had since 3.10 have been because of database issues. Now, I would, if CIG did release the dynamic economy for 4.0, yeah, 100%. That's going to get a wipe. Because once they add the dynamic economy, they want to reset everyone to 0 so they can see what the dynamic economy does. One could argue there's no point for any ship to be in the game, so I'm happy. Well, you could, but like the thing about the whole sea specifically is there's no gameplay for it. At least everything that's in the game now has some kind of gameplay. As of 3.18, every ship in the game has gameplay. Starfarer, the Reclaimer, everything has gameplay. Some sort of gameplay loop attached to it. But the whole sea, while it technically could have some trading gameplay, you're never going to buy in the volume that could fill up a whole sea. It's huge. It's massive. It's like, what, 1,000 SCU of cargo? You wouldn't be able to buy that much in Star Citizen right now. Oh, I guess you're right. The Herald is one, I would say, because it doesn't have any. It's just a dedicated info runner. It doesn't exist. As a trader, I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see how smart the system is. I am too. I just wish they gave a money S. What's a money S? Let's go. Terrapin, what's its gameplay loop? I don't remember. It's a scout. You can still scout with it. I think its sensors still work as longer range. It's just not, its final gameplay loop isn't there. And it can also do combat. When the whole sea is debuted, they will wipe. Yeah, well, they could see that, yeah. But I think CIG will wants to release it for 4.0. I saw that 3.18.1 and 3.18.2 will be full wipes. Does this mean that anything earned in 3.18.1 will be wiped again when 3.18.2 comes out? That's what it seems to be. Thousand SCU of waste dumped on Hurston is valid gameplay loop. I don't disagree with you, half sack. I will fly that thing back and forth even if it only carried one box. Hey, Daddy Cash, how you doing? I just really give a money stipend when we wipe like this. They do. I think we have like a 200K money stipend for 3.18. I'm sure we'll get that again for 3.18.1 and 2. Until they stop wiping, none of the ship's gameplay is worth it as it all gets wiped in the end. It depends on how much you play. If you play a lot, like I don't think we'll see another wipe this year. They could be wrong because you just got to get used to the fact that they could wipe every patch. But 3.19 is probably pretty close, and so that could be a little disconcerting if they had to wipe again for 3.19. But the patch after 3.19 is 3.20, and the earliest that would release is August, which would mean you'd have, if CIG's schedule works the way they want it to work, it would mean 2 to 3 months of gameplay. That's a lot of time to play the game. Matrix was Live said the cargo capacity is 4,608 for the whole sea. The cargo, it is the Matrix was Live for a reason, though. Looking it up on the wiki, which is usually a little bit better. It says 4,608 SCU. So yeah, that's a lot of SCU. I don't think there's enough SCU in the game that has any outpost that has that much SCU in one location. Everyone concerned about this full wipe thing. Well, Sandy Claus, you got to remember that a lot of people who played Star Citizen or play Star Citizen played it started playing it this year or last year. And this year, if they started playing it around 3.17, there hasn't been a wipe for a year. And then a lot of people stopped playing 3.17 when 3.18 had the full wipe announcement and started playing 3.18 again because they're like, well, at least we're not going to get wiped again. And now there's another wipe. So I get the shock. I get the sticker shock of the whole, like, wait, what? I've been playing this buggy, broken game, barely playing it and doing what I could for almost a month now, and you're just going to wipe my progress? I do think it's going to cause a massive drop-off of players for 3.18.1, though. Oh yeah, even worse, the whole sea can't buy from Outpost. There is for sure not 4,000 plus SCU at space stations. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. You can't even buy cargo at low locations, so it makes a lot of sense. I'm enjoying checking out the planet tech and learning new areas. Yeah, I guess there's still, I know there's definitely going to be people who still play, but I think there's going to be a huge drop off because there's a lot of people who play Star Citizen for progression. So if they know there's a wipe, they'll just stop playing. There's a large amount of people who play Star Citizen exclusively for like where it matters. Earning money, earning reputation, earning gear. And we talked about that earlier, how they wiped every patch back in like 3.10 days. Did we read the monthly report yet? No, I haven't read the monthly report yet. But we're going to go over the roadmap roundup. All right, let's take a look at this. There's some good stuff here. Oh, God. Yeah, when you had to re-download the entire game, every new patch. So this was released at the same time as the monthly report, which is always a good read. So we got confirmation from Jake that this was not an upstream and downstream release. This is just a kind of an update. Mostly what we see here is these have passed a final review and therefore updating their cards are committed. So these are the things we 100% will be getting in 3.19. Now, that being said, CIG has in the past pulled cards after committed. Very rarely. At most, I think it's been 1 or 2 that's been pulled since the system was installed last year. So that's, several patches without this problem. So give or take, it's not, or since 2021, I think, actually. So it's not perfect, but so it is possible, but it is highly unlikely once it gets to the committed status. Paul, when do you do the roadmap? Will you guess as to what you think the ships will be finished and announced will be? Yes, I will. Yep, the moment there will be, I heard there will be two incoming wipes in the near future. It made me Alt F4 change game. Probably be playing in for a few months. Just had 3+ month break, waiting for 3.18. Now more. Aerospace 2 just released. It's a fantastic game if you want to get into space stuff. By the way, thanks for reading these so we don't have to. Love the comments. Thank you. I really hope you read it yourself if you have time to, but I knew that people don't have time to. So you can think of it as like a audiobook. Yeah, we're gonna look at that here as well for the Delta patch there, Kasumi. But it's good to look at it. I see it as a no consequence period. Yeah. Time to play rough. Yeah. There's a streamer who was mad at the community for making exploits public, but I feel CIG has a responsibility to close the exploits in a timely manner or wipe to be voided. I don't know who's mad about it. I don't care if someone knows an exploit and tells everyone how to do the exploit. That's fantastic. It means that someone can report it and then CIG can fix it. It's fine. Read it in Daddy Lore voice? Okay. My name is Paul Shelley, and welcome to the Astro Historian. This is a series where I break down the lore and the lore of science, space and sci-fi universes. This week we're reading the Roadmap Roundup from April 5th, 2023. You make great voice in my head whilst I'm doing night shifts. So thanks for streams, Astro. Thank you. I did the thing. I did the intro. As always, remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more info, for more lore. And right now, I want to hear your thoughts on the Roadmap Roundup in the comments below. And as always, remember, ex Historia ad Astra. There you go. Space Cutlet was mad about it? I'd have to talk to Cutlet about it. It makes sense. I know why he'd be mad about it, but it seems a little off for Cutlet to be mad about it. I'm glad it was public so it could be reported, but this is your first video. If it weren't for Tomatoes org rules, I would be going ham between wipes. All right, so Tractor Beam Attach and Detach. This iteration of the Tractor Beam gameplay will add functionality to the Tractor Beam attachment of the multi-tool, allowing it to detach and attach items from the ship's item ports. This functionality can either be used for components exchange, replacement, or restocking rockets, or to scavenge other ships. The new player experience. An initiative for improving the initial first 30 minutes gameplay experience, which will help players understand the context of the world and introduce them to some of Star Citizen's basic features. This update focuses on the experience in Area 18 and Bajini Point. This is a big one to watch, honestly. This is huge, because we really need to give feedback to CIG on this one. So if you haven't, when you first log in, follow any tutorials when that happens in 3.19. Because when you experience it, you'll be experiencing what new players experience. Just kind of go along with the flow is what I would suggest. Because then you can give us feedback to be like, does this actually help? Does this actually work? Because that's one of the things I'm going to definitely do is go through this new player experience and see, does it work? Does it not? And do a video on it. Paul, I want you to know that I have been murdering cows in your name in Minecraft. Oh, thank you, I guess. I just want the shrinking bug back. That was so fun. Yeah. No or not go through it. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. Obviously, if there's a way to skip it, you can. I know a lot of people do it. But if you're interested in how players are going to be, especially if you have friends you want to introduce, knowing how this works is big and give a lot of feedback to CIG as well. Get them in the new Google it. Exactly. But it takes people like us who've played the game to experience it and see if it actually functions or not. Oh, right. This update will focus on the experiences of Area 18 and Bikini Point. New missions, salvage contracts. With more civilian access to salvage ships, contract brokers are offering salvage jobs for derelicts around Lagrange points around Stanton. These brokers charge a fee for their services, so this will require some buy-in, but the contractors are free to keep any salvage material for resale. Now, I saw some comments that were confused about this as to why anyone would buy information from contractors or from contractors. So what's important to understand is that this is almost certainly, and I think it's been confirmed, that you're going to no longer have access to the massive ships you have in 318. So like just casually coming across a derelict 890 you can salvage just for funsies is no longer going to be the thing in 319. Your average salvage is going to be much smaller affair. Aurora, my guess would be like Aurora is up to freelancers. So if you wanted the big moolah, the big stuff, then you're going to have to take these salvage contracts. And there are 3 different flavors of salvage contracts: legal, illegal, and counter missions, PvP missions, effectively. The legal missions are legal. You have the right. You can go there and you pay for it and you harvest it. The illegal missions are places which are you get the information for. You can go salvage it, which are higher value, but there's a timer. So you'll be at a certain point, the actual legitimate owners will show up and take it. So you have to salvage what you can before you leave. Higher pay in, but higher payout. And then there's a like a PvP version where they'll give you information, but everyone gets that information. And so you'll have this information like where you can go and to salvage it, but you have to fight over other people who have it. So that's pretty cool. It sounds like that we're getting that, but we're not getting the mining stuff. So they must be changing some stuff for mining, because they did mention this in the previous monthly report, that they were doing missions for salvage and mining. Same kind of concepts, but... Oh, you can, dude. You just pull all that information from Twitter. The OK-ish historian and Esosuli of internet JPEG lore. That's literally from my Twitter. They said they decrease the amount of salvage so that players start cleaning up the servers themselves. Yeah. I average about 22 boxes in my Vulture. STVs are going to be a big deal then. Why, Silky? The loose outer skin panels you find are much more efficient than salvage than ships anyways. I don't know what to talk about, but yeah. Has been wandering around yellow finding scrap pieces. Yeah, you can like pretty much any site, any outpost, you'll find derelict ships, so it's pretty easy to snag yourself some cheap salvage. At some point I'd like you to see you working for someone like ArtCorp and you salvage at a salary, not a price of goods. That would make sense, but you wouldn't need a ship for that. Hey, 11s, Lemses. All right, this is another big one that really intrigues me, because this is an idea that I've floated and I've seen other people float. For those of you who don't know, I used to play a lot of Arma. I don't play it as much anymore, and there was a mod for Arma 3 called Altus Life. Now, Altus Life, and like many Life mods, has different additions that becomes kind of like a roleplay version. You can play as a criminal, as a police officer, as a civilian. I don't think the roles are fixed. You can kind of do all of them. But if you control there are like locations that make drugs, and if you control the labs that make the drugs, you actually earn money. So as long as you hold on to that, you earn money. That money where like the drugs are processed, you get a cut every time if you own that location. So those areas can get fought over. And that's what this sounds like. New missions, Ghost Hollow PvP mission. Adding a new mission type at Ghost Hollow, point of interest in the Stanton system. Making use of the comm array as well as AI nav mesh, this mission will create PvP encounters where players will need to fight for control over terminals for a chance at big credit payouts. What's the name of this game? It's Arma 3. It's just a free mod for Arma 3. I don't know if the communities are very active right now, but it was a mod called Altus Life for Arma 3. Deep Light. It's called a job. Yeah, but having a job makes sense if for like salvage, that kind of thing. But yeah, there was a update for Arma 3 that had go-karts. Arma 4 is definitely in developments. They made a new Arma game called Arma Reforger, which is kind of like a halfway step between Arma 3 and Arma 4. But all right. So that's a big one. I think we'll see the fact that they're adding more of these mini jump towns. This is basically another kind of more, still a criminal version because the other one's criminal version too, but this is more of a criminal on criminal PvP mission, specifically for similar to the Korea mission where you go in and you take out the lieutenant or the captain, take their pad, know the code, go in and start getting the contraband stuff and start moving it away. This is very similar, but it seems to be much more simple. You just hack a terminal and you get credits for the terminal. My guess is what CIG wants to do is they're going to add waves upon waves of enemies showing up to attack you to try to kick you off the terminal. And if other people show up, they can kick you off the terminal as well. So that's my guess. Yeah, horde mode. I think I'm almost certain that's what they're trying to do. Let the criminals kill each other for PvP and leave the Care Bears alone. Hey, I'm okay with PvP zones. PvP zones are great additions to the game because they give people what they want. The original Jumptown Wars was exactly like that, where let the people who want to murder each other go murder each other. Yeah, there's high rewards and you risk getting taken out for doing Jumptown stuff, but because it was always on, it wasn't. There was always a danger, but it wasn't always like you could take the risk. But you could always know that there was shit going down. I think Ghost Hollow will become the new place where you always know shit's going down if you want to go fuck with people. Dark Zone Division games, yeah, similar to that. Yeah. Lastly, the Lorville Cityscape, reworking the Lorville skyline to make it scale better to the city and its distinctive buildings. I think outside of ships, this is what we're going to see for 3.19. I think this is all we're going to see. In fact, let's go to the roadmap. Let's go to the release view and see what they have in the release view. They have Lorville Cityscape. They have the RSI links. And then they have new player experience, salvage contracts, Ghost Hollow, and Tractor Beam. I think this is what we will see with more ships. I think we'll get the links and maybe some other stuff. Yeah, I'm going to do the Shiny Tracker too. I just wanted to show this off. So let's take a look at Shiny Tracker. For those of you who don't know, Shiny Hobo does the Shiny Tracker. They basically create an API that scrapes all of the progress tracker updates and then does changes and other things like that. So for this tracker, we only had 6 deliverables updates, so it's a very small one. The Santuk Yai, this was extended from the end of May to the end of September. So we're not going to see the Santuk Yai for Alien Week. I thought that might be the case. Looks like we're not going to see that. Arena Commander Classic Race Overhaul was extended to March 17th. They added an engineering dev or a design dev and engineering dev. Okay. Bug fixing and tech debt. They added for mostly Arena Commander feature team. Miscellaneous support, Arena Commander feature team. Origin X1. What, and I mean this in the most absolute perfect way possible, the fuck, CIG? Is this thing made of fucking gold? Did you make the X1 like the I win button or something? What the fuck is taking you so long to pump out a hover bike? Holy Jesus Christ titty fucking what the fuck? This is, like, at this point, unexcusable, CIG. What the actual fuck? Not even a meme anymore. I'm just now pissed. Like, what? Like, this is an absolute. But we're gonna have a new ship at Invictus. Almost certainly, they're gonna sell. God, fuck off. Jesus, fuck. At this point, X1 is a myth, and we're not going to get an X1 until 2025. God damn. X1 for Squadron 42, yeah. X1 is the entirety of Squadron 42. That's what it is. That's why it's taking so fucking long. All right, y'all. Here's the new strat. You know how we always choose with, like, people have gone to me to be like, Paul, what's our new meme target for this year? This is our new meme target. The X1. I'm not joking. I'm very serious. The X fucking one. I know it isn't eligible because it's not going to be released by that time. I don't give a fuck. I want CIG to announce and actually come out and say, we understand you're upset about the X1, because it might actually send a fucking message to the dev team, to the ship team, to release the fucking ship. God damn. No, we can't write in, but we can nominate, and that's definitely one of the things we need to nominate. This is just ridiculous. I'm never coming back to the cap stable. Boss says I can't get back to the X1 comes out. That thing better have, like, full customization. That thing better have, like, 17 fucking skins. It better have a solid gold skin. All right. The unannounced vehicle was also extended to end of July. They added 27 days of work with 3 art devs with 27 tasks, 1 design dev, and 2 tech content devs. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, it's origin, so probably it would fit within lore. Man, I was having an okay day today too. That just burns my ass. Oh, see, they addressed it like the week before. They addressed the X1. I was gearing up to go full fucking meme lord on it, and CIG, like, one of the devs said, "Oh yeah, we're working on the X1," you know, and then they put it on the the progress tracker that's releasing in like June. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna chill off the X1. I'm gonna make a couple of jokes here and there, but at least it's coming out in like 320 or something like that. The audacity, though. The Lion, the Witch, and the audacity of that bitch. Like, come on. The unannounced ship with the X1 Mini. Listen, I understand why the Ranger isn't out. Because the Ranger is a motorcycle. And I'll give CIG the benefit of a doubt that 2 wheels is different from 4 wheels, and maybe they need to reinvent bike tech in the game. I don't know. I'm sure CIG will come out with a complex physics reason as to why they didn't work on the Ranger, because it just wasn't a priority. That's fine. The Ranger's only been sold for like 4 years or 5 years. But the X1 was released many years, around the same time actually. But it's just a hover bike. They have 3 of them. Like, they exist. It's not new technology. Hilariously generous of me. The Lion, the Witch, and the audacity of that bitch. It's not my own. It's a meme. It's taken otherwise. Like, I'm willing to give CIG a lot of leeway, but there is literally no excuse for the X1. They even admit that it's going to take them a month. That's the last time they looked at it. They said it'd take them a month. Let's take a look at it now. Before I gotta get my anger out of my system for this one. Okay, so to give you context, it's going to take them apparently 3 months, 87 weeks. It's been in development for 87 weeks. And it's going to take them 3 months to make it. Three art and 1 design. But you don't understand, Paul. They need a luxury tourism gameplay loop before they can release the ship. No. No. No, 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 no. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. That is garbage excuse. Sit counter X1? Man, at this point, it's not even a contest. We ain't getting to the X1 until 4.7. While I agree it's absurd, do you think it could possibly release the 600i rework? I don't think so, because I don't think it's a separate teams. Is this actually going to be self-driving? That's my question. Is it the introduction of, like, steak and a blowjob gameplay loop? Because, like... What did I say to be deleted? I don't know what was deleted. May have been a slip click of one of my mods. Oh no. Qpan is memeing is what he did. Qpan is definitely memeing. He's doing mod abuse. Because you said that the Galaxy is coming out before the X1. Trying to express the voice of the people. You can't stop the signal, man. Thank you, SFX Shingo, for that 20 months. A round of beers as well. I didn't see that. There we go. Boop. But this is it. This CIG has sealed their fate. The meme ship this year is the X1. It will not get nominated, but we will force CIG to address the fact that the X1 is very popular. And we demand updates on the X1. And if you're watching this, anyone at CIG, I'm not sorry. You did this to yourself. Yes, it's X1 for best in show. And we are 100% coming up with the most atrocious, god-awful rumors about what the X1's going to do. That the X1 has a size 10 gun. That the X1 comes with a pizza dispenser. That the X1 is secretly a bounty hunting ship that has a full-on shrink ray to capture people and put them into tiny little pods. Go nuts. Anything you can throw into the X1 that would make it valuable, put it in there. Poor unloved Terrapin. That's fair. Listen, Sea Daddy. It's with love. It's with love that I do this. And a lot of frustration. It can teleport. It has a jump drive. A capital size jump drive. It can tug a javelin. Comes with your own air fryer and with tractor beams you can steal burgers from your hands, plus a coffee machine. The X1 is delayed by the 400Y launch. They now have unlimited space for the X1 to grow because of the spoke bay for it. It has T0 cloak gameplay. Yes. I will spread a misinformation campaign about it. It can, yeah, they can tug a javelin. The market materials were reversed. The 400i fits inside the X1. The X1 opens wormholes. It has faster than light technology. Purchasing an X1 gets you 20% off coupon book, redeemable at any Whammers in the stanchion system. Cures depression. It's a respawn bed. I heard rumors, Paul. Don't trust me, but Javelin is powered by X1 running on a hamster ball. X1 Force will come with a with champagne event, a campaign event to storm Lorville with free the slaves. All right, before we get into this last bit, X1 immune to drop the med pens. CIG can't release the X1 because it's spoilers for Squadron 42, because it's how we defeat the Vanduul. All right, I'm gonna be right back. You have your fun meme audios. When I come back, we'll do the month report.
Weapons free, y'all. Good news, everyone. I'm pilot.
Drugs.
Two words. Distress bacon.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up. It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Good news, everyone.
Cajitas wares. You have coin.
Two words. Distress bacon. Two words. Distress bacon. Two words. Distress bacon.
You did the first X1 creation. Let's show it to me, Velocity.
Weapons free, y'all.
We're arming the cat girls of Hurston with cloaking X1s. Check Discord, okay. The fastest ship will never fly. Is that supposed to be will or well? Oh, the fastest ship will never fly. The X1 for best in show. Perfect. Perfect. All right. All right. So if you've never done, been here when I do a capsule, I'm going to go reading. I'll be reading the monthly report. And as I'm reading the monthly report, I'm going to be basically talking to the camera. So I won't really be acknowledging chat that much. I'll try to mostly be focusing on the camera and giving through my commentary. Mostly because I try to do this for YouTube after the fact, because people don't want to watch a almost 3-hour live stream. So. X1 combines to form Finleytron, Pico's greatest enemy. X1's engines are powered by burning unwanted medical gowns. All right. Starting the recording. Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. These are small segments of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Changed it to a little bit earlier because I was finishing this up super late at night and I needed to get some more time to sleep. So come join us live, hang out with chat. We look at the latest news, we look at ISCs if they happen, we look at monthly reports, we look at roundups, we do a bunch of different news report stuff that we look through. And I'd love to hear your thoughts if you wanted me to do more. I've thought about doing looks at the developer updates, because the developers have their own kind of tracker, the dev tracker on the RSI website, to kind of go over some of that. I've done that in the past pretty well. So if you want to see me do anything like this live and then report it to you for news or lore or whatever, let me know in the comments down below. It helps me out a lot. And if you want to join us Join us live, and the best way to do that is to follow us on Twitch, subscribe here on YouTube, hit that like button as well to help us out, and of course, hit that bell icon to notified when these go live and when these come out. With that being said, today we're going to look at the monthly report for March of 2023. So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to drink. This is going to be a bit of a long one, and let's get started. All right. So, PU monthly report for March 2023. AI tech. Throughout March, AI tech made significant improvements to various navigation systems and AI tool features. This included implementing support for overriding agent-type properties for navigation mesh generation, which enables the designers to generate meshes inside narrow areas and create more complex levels. For example, NPCs will be able to follow or search for players inside vents. We saw a little bit of that with the Inside StarCitizen, with StarCitizen Live last week. Another related feature is navigation volume cost areas, NVCA, which will impact navigation mesh generation and dynamic path computed during movement requests. There are both static and dynamic NVCA types. Static NVCAs are shape volumes pre-placed by the level designers when they want certain areas to be preferred or avoided during pathfinding. Dynamic NVCAs are shapes created at runtime based on player or NPC actions. For example, fire areas can be expanded or shrink, or areas featuring obstacles placed by players. AI Tech also continued to iterate and polish some otherwise completed features, including NPCs pushing trolleys and NPCs using transit systems and elevators, with or without trolleys. Support was also added for hover trolleys. Again, CIG is insane for putting the three most broken things in Star Citizen in one spot. Trolleys, elevators, and NPCs. That's not going to go well. But I look forward to the disaster that causes when it comes out. On to progress. On the AI tools side, the team iterated and added new functionality to the Apollo subsumption tool. So this is a tool they've mentioned in the past. This is just a new tool they use for subsumption. It's, I believe it's they said it on StarCitizen Live that it's not a generic tool. It's a custom tool for the AI designers or something like that. It makes it so it's easier for them to do. They just created a new tool for it. Some of the new functionality includes being able to reference engine component tags as part of the tag selector variable. They also moved the graph map to its own tab, added icons to the outline tab for easier viewing, and added a prompt for unsaved changes. I'm wondering if that item component tags part of the tag selector. I'm guessing that's for AI being able to remove components, possibly? I don't know about that. That's one. It's an interesting one. For usable coordinator, the team continued with quality of life improvements and updated UI functionality. AI Tech also completed a pass on the recent idle system improvements. Now they can correctly mark up specific movements in idle animations where it's safe to leave. This allows them to maintain the visual quality the animators expect without the needing to wait for the idle animation to fully transition into exit animation. They showed off a little bit of that with the stop animations on Star Citizen Live as well. So this just means that it'll look more fluid when they come out of idle states, and they can just cancel the idle states if something happens. We've seen in the past, they talk about things like AIs being able to react to the environment. So if something weird's going on, they can flee. If they're not combat AI, they can get into ready if they're combat AI. So they don't have to be like doing their own idle animations, then wait for the idle animations to stop, and then go into the stance they need to go into. This will just allow them to transition out of it much faster. Art characters. Last month, character art polished outfits for the Duster faction alongside with subscriber items for the year ahead. Production also began on the Frontier helmets. Concept-wise, art team explored the Headhunters and Rough and Ready gangs and prepared to hand off documents for the Dusters. So, Headhunters sounds familiar. They may have had their own lore. I think they have their own lore story. Let me look it up real quickly. I'm not seeing it. No, nothing there. Maybe I'm thinking of Halo, because I know there's a Halo thing that says Headhunters. I'm assuming that the Headhunters and the Rough and Ready gangs are pyro gangs. Because we know that the Duster faction is, in fact, a Stanton gang, because we've had them in the past. They've even mentioned that they're more interested in hitting up locations where you will see production nodes going. So mining locations and on planets. They're more than the Ninetales, who are more of a pirate gang. These people more prey on like miners and such. That's why they're called the Dusters. I think that's what, if I remember correctly. So, all right. Art ships. The UK vehicle art team spent the month closing out the Argo SRV alongside 2 unannounced vehicles. Each progressed through the final final art pass stage, which includes LODs, damage, and optimization. What? That's 3 vehicles? All finished? Because the SRV is effectively done. And so it sounds like it's the SRV and 2 other vehicles are effectively done. That's a lot of vehicles. I can almost guarantee you that both of those vehicles will be available for 319 as well. So they're probably Invictus vehicles. As always, let me know down below what you think that might actually be. And in chat, of course, you can also tell me what you think those might be. Because they're Invictus, my guess would be an ambulance, like an Ursa ambulance sort of thing. And I don't know about the other one. It's hard to tell because Invictus is almost always a military ship. I can't think of any other military type ships we really need. Not small ones, at least. Not ones that would be created and ready to go. Hard to tell. We'll see. Misk Hole C received further support with the team fixing several visual bugs and polishing where needed. Progress on the Crusader's Spirit continued with the ship moving from gray box to LOD 0 phase. The vast majority of the interior and exterior gray box work is now done. Wow, they are moving really fast in the Spirit too. So the whole C has been finished for a while now. It seems at this point they're just kind of slow rolling it, where they're just taking their time on it, because the whole C, to give context, holds 4,608 SCU. And can only load up on stations. So the whole C would not work as in the game currently. It needs some significant changes to the gameplay for it to work. So it seems like they're just kind of slowly working on it until they can get the changes they need to make it work. And as chat's pointing out, it also requires 32 SCU cargo containers, which we don't have yet. Though there was a preview recently that showed that off, so they're definitely working on it. But the Spirit being in LOD 0 phase, again, for those of you who don't know, LOD 0 is the phase that they do after gray box before final art, which means it's the last step before final art. Now, final art can take some time, but Crusader Spirit was just started at the beginning of this year. This is March, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Crusader Spirit line was finished by the end of April or possibly May. They're chugging right along. Now, I'm sure there's a progress report on there that tells when they're planning to be done, which I'm sure is like September, but they are moving really fast. So almost certainly we will see this Spirit series be available in-game starting IAE. Almost certainly. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Spirit series, the SRV, because I don't know if the SRV will come in 319. I hope, but we'll see. So that's a lot. That's really fast too. White Box began work on 2 unannounced vehicles, one receiving a flyable in-editor prototype. So we've got 2 additional vehicles, which are in White Box, so brand new. A component pass began on the MISC Freelancer to ensure the component bays adhere to the required metrics and open and close properly. Now here's the thing. I anticipate that this, as it's working, will end up being a full interior rework. It may not happen with this, but they're definitely going to have to do an interior rework of the Freelancer because it's just in a weird place. And I think this may be the catalyst to actually get in and do that, but we'll see. In the US, subscriber flare paints inspired by Microtech, Crusader, and Hurston were created. A gray box for a new vehicle approached completion. Some unique maneuvering components were heavily detailed, including the front housings and suspension system. Suspension system? Maneuvering? Suspension system tells me ground vehicle, but maneuvering components tells me spaceship. I don't know what this is. If I had to pull something out of a guess entirely, well, let's continue this. The seat enter-exit mechanism was fleshed out, while the front and rear doors were adjusted to prevent clipping to create a tight seal when closed. Front and rear. So, for those of you who don't know, when they don't mention the ship, it doesn't mean it's something they haven't announced yet. So it's not something that they've already announced and they're working on and they're just secretly working on it. This is a brand new vehicle of some kind. And a vehicle could mean ship or ground vehicle. If I had to take a wild guess, and this is a wild guess with no other context here, I would say a hover tank. The Zavaran were known to have tanks. And they've mentioned it multiple times in multiple lore pieces that the Zavaran had tanks. And people have been asking for a hover tank for a while. And while the Xi'an having hover technology and having a hover tank would make sense, the Zavaran also did have hover technology. And that would make more sense to bring back in this sort of stealth tank sort of thing, like a light tank compared to the Nova, which is a heavier tank. So, who knows? Greybox on the Apoa Santokyai is ongoing, with the wings and thrusters now fully modeled out. All clipping during motion has been addressed, and additional Xi'an tech used to move parts away from others. The landing gear was also redesigned to have a stronger look in comparison to the rest of the ship, while all the visible pistons were removed in favor of mechanical muscles. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Very cool. We saw the Santokyai updated on ISC last week, and it is very early Greybox compared to the other stuff we saw, which was much later Greybox. Even the Blinks was much later Greybox. Community. To coincide with the release of the RSI Scorpius Antares and the Alpha 318, the community team published a Q&A answering key questions with the new EMP-equipped heavy fighter. 2 buttons. 2 players, 2 buttons. Then, in celebration of the opening of the Vision Center racetrack, the team hosted the first Star Citizen low-speed racing challenge. The community also supported the Stella Fortuna celebrations and held a festival screenshot contest. The Stella Fortuna also made use of the events tab on the Community Hub, recently debuted. The next major update of the Community Hub is already in the works, coming very soon. Also in March, they released the full schedule for ongoing Bar Citizen World Tour 2023. We're excited to see you in person as soon as possible. Remember, if you're organizing an event or just looking for one to attend in your vicinity, you'll find everything you need at barcitizen.sc, community team. The team has also been heavily involved in supporting the publishing and player experience teams with the release of and ongoing work for Alpha 318. Finally, the team has been entrenched in planning and organizing this year's CitizenCon event. I need to know more. I definitely need to know more. All right. Whew. This is the engine section. I'm going to say what I say usually when it comes to the engine section. Look at me. Examine this physique. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. But sadly, this peak performance doesn't actually know a lot about engine stuff. I'm not a Starfleet engineer. I can't turn rocks into replicators. I do not know the canticles of the machine spirit. I am not a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I am not do not have the ability to assemble and disassemble a electric car by rote memory. I am not a Covenant engineer. I am but me, humble bartender and historian. So I will recognize some of these words, but I don't really understand the engine talk. So if you are an expert in this language, please do type down in the comments your thoughts on what this actually means. Several of you have been doing it, and I thank you for doing that. I will make sure to shout you out next time when we go through the engine stuff for those people who've been translating, and look you so you can look for them in the comments below if you also want to understand what they're talking about. Most of this is in the past has been graphics and other stuff like that. So. Engine. In March, the physics team worked on the consistent handling of wheeled vehicles between different gravity fields. That's actually legible. That's cool. Huh. Additionally, further improvements were made to OBB box pruning. There we go. I don't know what to talk about now. While lock stealing in the geometry intersection code was reworked. Data integrity regarding the mass assigned to a physical geometry was tightened, and a method was implemented to find parts of an entity that a rope is attached to between sessions. An optional update of grid space part bounds during reposition was added. This should save significant time during collision detection if thousands of crates attempted to collide with a ship consisting of several thousand parts. This is something they've been working on for a while. They've been working on some of the physics issues involved collision and its response in collision, because they wanted to reduce the amount of entities that spawned during a collision so you wouldn't overload the server with just garbage. So literal garbage in some cases. So the idea was to make it less laggy and more, and also less resource intensive. That's for sure. On the renderer, more code was refactored for Gen 12. Transient constant buffers are now used in more code. For example, an SSDO and motion blur. The processing of tessellated objects was improved so it would no longer execute unnecessarily. A lot of legacy render code was removed, deferred shading, shadow rendering, etc. And support for debug viz of anti-aliasing and shadow mask rendering was added. Improvements to temporal renderer mode for atmospheric and volumetric clouds continued. This included improvements to stabilized color neighborhoods for reprojection and transmittance profiles. On the core engine, the remote shader compiler server received a final round of substantial performance improvements. The exception handler was extended to better deal with recently occurring silent crashes. Based on the memory tracking information made available by Alpha 318 PTU, a new custom system allocator to replace Gemlock was implemented, which significantly reduces observed overallocation and fragmentation. This is currently in test. Furthermore, improvements were made to huge pages support. Work on streaming system improvements and new memory tracking tool continued too. The remainder of the time was spent supporting Alpha 318. That's kind of interesting. So we're seeing some performance boosts, is what it looks like, specifically focusing on the shader compiler and memory, which we knew were an issue. Some stuff to clouds, some renderer code stuff, and Gen 12. Interesting. I got most of that today. Features Arena Commander. In March, the feature team saw the first stage of Arena Commander's rework pushed to game dev. Now all development teams have access to the new front end, lobby system, racing tracks, and more. Someone asked earlier in chat if we had an update on racetracks. It sounds like racetracks are in Arena Commander now. The new ones that were in Stanton are now in Arena Commander, at least in the front end. So we'll see if that changes at all. Arena Commander features worked alongside the planet team to improve LS3, Green, the planet that hosts Horizon Speedway. Updates include a new biome with higher mountains, increased water levels, and beaches to better represent the vast oceans and inlore vacation destinations the races are hosted over. Interesting. So it looks like they're trying to craft Green to be a little bit more act like the actual Green. People have asked in the past if like this planet is done, right? The answer is no, but obviously, they're going to be making, as they go along, as they get closer to actually having Green in the game, because while it seems like a pipe dream, Green and the Ellis system isn't too far away from Stanton. It's only 2 jumps away. So it has a jump from Magnus to Green, or to Ellis, and it may go from Magnus to Nexus to Ellis. I can't remember exactly. But it's not far and not too difficult from, because there's a jump between Magnus and Stanton. So it's definitely one of the first systems we'll get after the first initial wave of systems. So that makes sense for them to try to kind of craft that now. But as we go along, I'm sure it'll get more and more dialed in and eventually be the planet that we actually see in game. So chat is telling me OBB box is basically what contains the ship and their 1,000 parts to single entity. Okay, for the engine stuff. Design began a full rework of the Defford Link racetrack alongside work on Old Vanderval. They also completed a pass of all holographic checkpoints to ensure they best represent the areas and environments. Design continued to improve and fix new Arena Commander front end with refined style sheet. Very nice. So this is where it gets kind of crazy. Features, characters, and weapons. Last month, the features team revisited the prone locomotion set, as several successful mechanics used in the new EVA system could be transferred over. So they are actively working. We know this for a while. They've been actively working on the new EVA system to add it to Star Citizen, though the locomotion was another thing they were adding. So it's interesting. For example, the player character will now roll on the spot instead of spinning around on the hips as the player looks around. The collision shape does not change. Okay, so instead of like right now when you roll on your back, you lift up, you look like you're doing crunches. I think now it's when you roll up and you look, you're actually rolling while you look as well. That's interesting. So it's more. Yeah. This replaces the button press for switching between front and back, and the player can start moving from any prone pose. Very cool. A player's character's pivot has also been moved further forward, which centers the rotation in first-person view closer to the camera in both idle and movement animation sets. This makes rotation control far smoother, although requires a full update on all animations and transitions. As part of this, the collision shape has been changed from a single capsule to multiple smaller capsules. The main capsule is at the pivot, and the others trail out behind it and are allowed some freedom to retract. As a visual aid, consider this similar to a caterpillar. The end result is much better first-person experience with the fewer issues where the character gets stuck on terrain. Actor Features team. The team also supported new behaviors around weapon heating. There is now an option for FPS weapons to overheat, which requires user intervention to restore functionality similar to a reload action. However, before the weapon hits overheated state, it can change its behavior at various temperature thresholds. For example, the firing rate can increase, the fire mode can change to a beam type, or the number of projectiles fired into a single shot can increase. So the hotter the gun gets, the more it shoots. It changes from just like a to a laser. That's interesting. So there may be some advantages to overheating your weapons for some unique aspects. And this is obviously only for energy weapons, but we'll see. We'll probably see some of it for ballistic weapons too, as you overheat, because you can overheat ballistic weapons. Features, gameplay. In March, the gameplay feature team supported ongoing QATRs for mining updates and tractor beams. This led to improvements in the tractor beam UI, or UX. For example, adding a toggle for on and off rather than pressing and holding, and adding new augmented reality AR markers to show the validity of an item the player wants to attach. The team also improved the loot generation debug tools to make it easier to validate loot distribution, which is interesting because we definitely still, for those of you who don't know, I run an organization called the League of Relic Enthusiasts, or LORE. We do a lot of expeditions to derelict outposts to specifically loot and find the rare relics that can be found and artifacts that can be found at these sites. They haven't been working in 3.18 at all. We reported the bug and they reported a fix, but it's still not working as far as I can tell. So maybe this will help them find it a little bit better. So who knows? The ship refinery work also began. The design intentions were brought up to speed to allow the engineers to start work on the next sprint. So we see ship refinery works beginning. That's going on the thumbnail. Features, mission. In March, the mission features continued to work on the salvage contract missions, adding polish and balance. Package extraction was also progressed towards its eventual release. Package extraction? We're looking at adding in general cargo to mission ships to give the players a reason to investigate destroyed ships, or ships that are in soft death. Okay, so they're going to add more cargo to NPC ships, because right now they're pretty low. The ship escort mission that involves quantum travel progressed. Oh, I remember those missions are terrible. Everyone loves escort missions, right? The team's current focus is getting all baseflow edge cases worked out to understand their dependencies on other teams. Productions of a new mission began, currently known as Data Heist, which tasks players with reaching a location and stealing data. I'm very interested in that, too. The team also began adding quality of life fixes for Alpha 319, including enabling players to see historical data of whether a mission was completed or failed and why. They also modularized the missing persons mission so they can be used more easily by the content teams as part of an ongoing initiative to build a more modular system. So they're starting to modularize some of these too. On the law side, the team worked on the ability to defend a ship's interior from trespassers. This includes not automatically adding players to a ship's comms channel unless they're a party member. I don't know why that's a big deal to me, though. That's a huge deal. Oh. As well as this, a liability system was created to deal with crimes committed with tractor beams. Nice. This includes a new system for attributing blame to active defenestration. We're throwing people out of windows now, CIG? Which is a fancy word for throwing someone out a window. Defenestration of stand-in system. Oh, everyone loves the defenestration of Prague. And the second defenestration of Prague. Oh, that's fantastic. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. In March, the graphics team completed a version of mesh generation from spline inputs, which will be used for jump point tunnels. Various shader improvements were made, including recoloring skin using physically based melanin controls, and adding the initial support for customizable makeup and tattoos. Improvements were also made to water reflection, refraction, and fogging. Yes! Yes! Good! Good. These are good. Work began to unify the static and skinned meshed formats, which should lead to larger draw call reduction on complex meshes. They also started to integrate new logic into each individual streaming system for testing. In addition, the graphics team made various changes to render texture system, including new culling options that will be required for the interior map feature. Oh, they're sort of working on the interior maps. For Vulkan, Vulkan update, updates were made to the backend to help visual parity with DX11. Various debug modes were also added to Gen 12 to surpass the functionality of Legacy Renderer. Meanwhile, the VFX programming team continued their work on quantum travel and fire. Quantum travel effects now rotate correctly based on the movement and direction, and various visual improvements were made based on feedback. For the fire system, the framework for GPU fire particle spawning was added to allow for a much greater particle counts. Entities can now exchange heat in the room as they reside within two. Can exchange heat with the room they reside in within two. Okay, so they can heat up a room now. In addition, the VFX team continued improving their editor, adding the ability to reference effects from each other. They also made improvements to lighting effects in gas clouds. The Planet Tech team progressed with water, iterating on the simulation quantity and building a system to manage and combine simulations for water surfaces. Work on the asteroid system continued too, with the aim of achieving a much more flexible setup for shaping and distribution. Awesome. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, especially stuff that we haven't seen in Star Citizen Live. Vulkan updates. What's some of the other ones we saw? Defenestration. Data heist. Let's see, where's the other ones? Ship refinery work. Lots of stuff out here. Weapon heat characteristics. There's a lot of cool stuff. It seems a lot of stuff in the gameplay section rather than in the like the overall tools section, though, which is nice. So, and a lot of ships too. In-game branding Montreal. The in-game branding team continued to work on Pyro's gang's visual identity and environment. They also made final touch-ups to Invictus Launch Week and are currently exploring Ruin Station in pursuit of adding new branding elements throughout. Lighting. The lighting team spent part of March working on Invictus Launch Week before continuing to light new and existing areas around Ruin Station. They also progressed with their work on the Colonial Outpost modules in development by Sandbox One team. The Sandbox One team. So for those of you who don't know, Ruin Station is big. And unlike other setups in like, landing zones, we really do know we'll have a lot of run of Ruin Station. A lot of the station will likely be available because Ruin Station is not just a landing zone, it's also a play space area. At least in the lore, the concept was that the station itself is an active war zone. And there are some places that are safe and some places that are not. So smaller gangs are vying for control of the actual station, even though it is under the control of our old friend Xenothreat. So, live tools. In Montreal, the Live Tools team began designing a new module for the Network Operations Center. In the future, this shard management tool will support server meshing by displaying real-time information about the servers. That's something they've been working on for a while. I guess they started actually... started designing it now, so. Locations EU. By that, I mean, they mentioned talking about it in the past, like kind of having discussions about it, so now they're actually into the building it. The EU locations team progressed with Ruin Station, looking at new ways for player to traverse and how new gameplay elements will fit into the areas already developed. They also progressed with the local law offices, developing layouts and working towards playable prototypes. Cargo elevators were worked on alongside the USPU team last month. Locations prototyped elevators and how they will work in various scenarios. EU2 also worked alongside mission features to add new platforms to Orison. These will be used for missions and to add additional points of interest to the city. The EU Sandbox team created a non-airlocked outpost entries, which will be used in Pyro's breathable atmospheres. Papa bless. Thank you. Thank you. They're currently tidying up the underfloor areas for outpost modules for the use in stealth gameplay. Work also continued on wrapping up the final pieces for Content Pack 3, which will enable the team to move on to outpost distribution across Pyro. So if you saw the, was it the 2020 gameplay demo they did for CitizenCon, where they were actually in Pyro, where they did the kind of like the stealth stuff where they had like the little crawl spaces on top and bottom. They're kind of trying to do that with the idea of having stealth, because CIG has been heavily investing in stealth gameplay and AI to counter stealth gameplay, which initially I thought was for Squadron to add more variety, but I guess it's also being added to Star Citizen to, again, add more variety. CIG really does seem to be committed to making Star Citizen a space game, an FPS game, a stealth simulator, and a tycoon game all at once. Design is almost finished with the markup for Content Pack 2, and we'll be moving on to the final pieces of Content Pack 3 as they're completed. They're also near closing out the Stanton and Pyro jump points, with some final bits of feedback being applied. So they're finished with the jump points, which is nice. In March, EU Sandbox 2 continued their work on the underground facilities, and which can be seen in the recent episode of Inside Star Citizen. Finally, the Organics team progressed with Rocky Caves. Upcoming work involves reworking and touching up Pyro's planets and moons to bring them up to current standard. All right. Narrative. This is my favorite. It's my favorite part, chat. With Alpha 3.18 live, the narrative team shifted back to work on the upcoming patches as well as ongoing development. They worked closely with various design team owners to further develop mission text for several upcoming mission types, including salvage, investigation, mining, and some new ones that have yet to be announced. For Pyro, Narrative revisited some of the scientific lore around the planets to ensure it all aligns up with the latest design and gameplay intents. They also started drawing out territories for various gangs in the system to see where they could operate and overlap, which would establish conflict zones. That's cool. Permanent PvP conflict zones depending on who you're aligned with in Pyro. Very planet-side 2 of you, CIG. See what I mean? They also began looking at the outlaw lifestyle, specifically brainstorming a new approach for players drifting into criminality, rather than having unlawful missions available alongside legal ones. Good idea. On the IRSI website, the team posted a Whitley's Guide on the Origin 300 series and published another installment of Loremakers Community Questions. You should see this. Online Services Montreal. In March, the online services team focused on hotfixes for the Alpha 3.18 live release. These were primarily aimed at inventory login, entitlement, and revealing stress on global databases. For Alpha 3.18.1, the team added a new ASOP ship delivery system, which is in Alpha 3.1. Yeah, we'll see that soon, which means you have to actually call your ship and then it gets added to your inventory and then you have to release it. Now, I do think that this system is going to be the predecessor for what's eventually going to happen. I'm almost certain that the ASOP terminals will be gone possibly before 4.0 and moved to your Mobiglass, because CIG is trying to move everything they can to Mobiglass if it's possible. So, and if they can move it out of Mobiglass, they'll move it out of Mobiglass. So having the ability to call your ship, which we know is in Squadron 42, to be able to recall your ship to have it come to you, is definitely something you want to do in the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they wrap that functionality in with the new Mobiglass into a ability to call up your ship to a landing pad so you can get access to it. Because eventually we're going to have our ships that are permanently in those landing pads. So it'll be more of a, hey, get this to launch status rather than, calling it out, because you'll just be able to get to your ship. So no matter what, the ASOP terminal is going away, and I think it's going to become sooner rather than later. Systematic services and tools. Alongside supporting Alpha 3.18 release and bug fixing cargo, ASOP terminal, and GIM issues, the team began R&D for a service-speaking architecture update. That's something we need so badly. They also made progress on character creation service, supported USPU in testing the new expo halls, solved subsumption editor issues, and worked on design on the Quantanium/Odin tool, or Quantum/Odin tool. So they're still working on some Odin stuff, which is the quanta background simulation. So almost done. The UI artist supported several upcoming gameplay features by creating screen mockups and concepts alongside with ideas for in-world displays. Several artists and some of the UI tech team worked on new visor and lens setup for Squadron 42, which will eventually make its way into the UPU. UI team helped improve VMA data download speeds and improve the underlying loadout system for Arena Commander and Star Marine. They also made incremental improvements to several areas, including text edit boxes, scroll bars, hollow volume interactions, and hyperlinks. Lastly, the VFX team put the finishing touches on their new particle library structure this month. This is in anticipation of the new external ref functionality that will be moving into testing phase immediately. This will provide a way for VFX artists to create template effects, which can then be referenced to other libraries. This method will make it easier maintenance in the coming years as Star Citizen increases in size. All right. So what did we learn today? Nothing. Nothing, Jared. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's coming in here. Some UI stuff specifically for Squadron that's being moved over first to Squadron and Star Citizen. We saw movement updates from Squadron, which is being implemented into Star Citizen, specifically around the EVA system. We see work on Quantum, the background simulation, the background dynamic world. We see hotfixes, a possible gang warfare zones you can go into for some rep and or money of some mission stuff. New missions being added. A stealth infiltration mission to steal stuff. Let's see. A lot of content packs. They're starting to move a lot of their assets over to Pyro and Ruin Station to work on some of this stuff to kind of craft those things in the right places. Cargo elevators were being worked on. You're trying to go through all of this sort of thing. Working on the Pyro gangs, touching up on Ruin Station. They've been working on the Dusters. Working on Planetech did water simulation improvements. Fire can propagate properly. They moved a bunch of stuff from Vulcan. They're adding new. They're modularizing mission systems more. So like the investigation missions or the body missions you have to find, those are being modularized. Defenestration gameplay, the best news of all time. They're starting to work on the refinery gameplay. They're adding new FPS weapons overheat features. Arena Commander's fully in there. Let's see what else we got. Lots of physics bugs fixed. Lots of ships. 2 new vehicles, which will be at E3, almost certainly be at 319 because they're past their gray box phase and they're past their final art phase. The Spirit and the Miss Hull C are just zooming towards that finish line fairly quickly. All of the Spirits are in Lot 0, which is the last step before final art. 2 unannounced vehicles are in white box. The Freelancer Misk is getting its interior components reworked. Sadly, not interior rework yet, but that. And a new unique vehicle in gray box, which has both maneuvering components and a suspension system, which confuses me. And the Suntech guy is in gray box right now. We also see some new art team for Headhunters and Rough and Ready gangs, which are probably both Pyro gangs. And then AI tech on idle systems, allowing them to avoid areas that are like dangerous dynamically or procedurally or statically, where like a mission generator can be like, hey, all AI should avoid this area because it's dangerous. And of course, the mad lads decided that they're going to take AI, trolleys, and elevators and see what happens when they put them together. Still have to see what happens. Hopefully that gives you an insight of what happened during March for the monthly report. As always, I do want to know in the comments below if this helps you. I've been doing these full read-throughs because people seem to like them. Summaries are great. They work fine, but I tend to find that summaries they don't give you the full context. They give you snippets of information. So if you're really looking to find out the full context of what's happening in Star Citizen, you really need to kind of read the whole thing. And if you're listening to me instead of reading, I'd like you to read as well. Hopefully you find some stuff that's interesting you can pull up. I'll leave the link to the actual monthly report in the description so you can check it yourself. But I do thank you for listening as well. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. I've seen the NBC using elevators in the live game dev AI sprint report, and the fire mechanics are showed there. There too, and how it expands. Yeah, a lot of that stuff was already shown. New super boss show ending, kind of finishing up, wrapping up. Thank you, Farisol, for that raid, and thank you, Deepa, you mad lad, for gifting 10 memberships. Where's the Odyssey? Nowhere. Paul, that was why the 2 wipes will happen. AI plus trolley plus elevator equals server destruction. Jazz leaves in freshprince.gif. Yes, there we go. Trading vibe, home to glass. Hey, Nikadara. Fuck this game. Like Like I think it was someone else said, not buy me dinner first. I would not have sexual relations with this video game. It's probably not a good idea. I don't even know how that'd work, but you know, I'm not going to hear the King Shank be there. How you doing, Farisal? What were you up to? You doing some Star Citizen, or were you doing some other stuff? So, Paul, each time they mention OBB, it's basically a container that holds ships, planets, cities, etc. Each container is an OBB. So, OBB is just another word for a container. Yeah, rope gameplay. I think the idea that they can save the status of rope. So, if the rope is holding onto something, like through like a winch or something like that, it'll stay attached. That stowaway detection nerf update gives me anxiety, but also updates the status. So if someone on your ship starts blasting out of their ships, you're not going to get held responsible for it. That person will be, though. Yes, in a certain way, but it's the technical word. Okay. So I started blasting. Yeah. It was out shooting tanks in War Thunder Sim. Occasionally bouts of defying gravity in an airplane. Nice. Fuck my life, we're just going to fight a boss in Sea of Thieves, and my game crashed. That sucks. But why do we need rope for? We have the almighty beam citizen. Well, as many people have pointed out, beams are not the only things that are being done. They will be doing other updates. They will have more complex ways of interacting with characters. It's just the first pass, and probably to 1.0, is going to be beams. Because it's just easier to do that. It's easier to code that. Once they have all of that worked out, then they'll go back and do the more pulling stuff off by hand, driving the like trolleys, or the what are they called? The forklifts and stuff like that. You'll have that gameplay, but that's like not 1.0 gameplay. That's down the line, and probably squadron based, if anything, for initially. Yeah, cargo straps as well, because they specifically mentioned the idea of having cargo tied down with rope into onto vehicles, so when they crash, they don't like simulate them. They simulate them moving, but getting strapped in. So. Later, half stack. Hover tanks need a gun stabilizer, which is a type of suspension from some perspectives. It could be. I still think that it's a hover tank. I do believe that the ship that they're doing is, I think it's the best guess, is a hover tank. Why should it have a front and rear door? Because I think it's going to be more like a light tank, probably more like an IFV, would be my guess. Because that would fit the Tavaran way of war, which is fast, agile, move, hit hard, and run away. So an IFV would fit that. And having a front and rear entrance for an IFV kind of makes sense. Question, do you expect would have big, large rovers, maybe capital size? We're not going to have capital size rovers, sadly, but 2 new flying X1s. No. The hover tank fits inside the X1. The X1 is now a deployment vehicle for hover tanks. Drake needs a rope to hold the ships together. What would the advantages / disadvantages of having a wheeled vehicle versus a hovered one? Hovers can raise or lower their distances so they can clear ground better. So they can go over rocky terrain that wheeled vehicles would have to pick through. But hover vehicles have a much higher energy signature, so you could pick them out from much longer distances. Whereas wheeled vehicles seems to not have as much high of an energy signature, so they're easier to camouflage or harder to spot. And also fixing, yeah, the complexity. You'll probably have more parts in a hover vehicle than you do on a wheeled vehicle. Hey, Paul, you did the monthly report yet? We just finished, Kale. Just finished. The fact that they also were working on how the gravity affects vehicles is another good one. That's a great step. I don't know if Darj is still here, but that was one of the biggest issues that Darj had, was just like how the vehicles handled is so garbage. And I always was concerned that because the wheeled vehicles handled differently from they handle differently on different planets and moons depending on the gravity, that wheeled vehicles would just be impossible to handle on like low gravity planets because it would be much more difficult to steer. But now if they have variable, I don't know, like gear shifts that you can do for it, it'd be nice. You'd want a big salvage rover. I think we could definitely use something like there's the Arctic, was the 1930s, I think. They created a giant Arctic exploration rover, which was effectively a mobile home, like a moving lab slash like living space that was the size of a plane, like a small block. It even had a biplane that would sit on top of it. I think they built one, but they never actually got it off the ship, or they never went anywhere. Something like that would be cool. The overland train? No, that's like an Australian thing. I'm talking about the Arctic Explorer vehicle. It got there, but didn't run well. Yeah, I didn't know if they'd actually built it or not, but I remember. Yeah, they actually built the thing. It'd be cool if we could make trains. I can only be so erect, Zal. Trains. Don't mention trains in my presence. Unless you want me to go on a rant about the advantages of public transportation and light rail. Train citizen. Fun fact, my great-grandfather is Captain Ross. Oh, from that expedition? Nice. Xeon Gallop. The in-game size of an Atlas is probably the same size as that thing is in real life. Possibly. The Drake Corsair has tie-down point on the top. I can see going around a la Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, and the Ursas have tie-down points on the top of their where so you could undersling. What is it called? Where you can tie it to like the bottom of a helicopter and have it kind of come in like that. This is where I get Paul to start discussing how the tech bros who invent new mass transit solutions keep inventing buses and trains. Yeah. That's crane mechanic about the Ursa. Yeah, well, I mean, definitely you could use that with rope. Cars equals better than trains and buses? No. Cars are okay, but they're not as efficient, especially not in tightly packed urban areas. Trust me, I lived in California, where population density is nuts. Any place where you have high enough population density, you need public transit. Just because it just becomes a hassle to try to drive anywhere. So having a good, robust bus system and or light rail system, or both, is a fantastic thing to make life so much easier to live in cities. I'd love to have a way to cargo lift the tanks. You can. It's called the SRV. Underslung, I think is what it's called. There may be a specific term for it when you take like a helicopter and you tie like a piece of equipment to the bottom and you don't actually attach it to the helicopter. You just pick it up and then carry it through the suspension system and then drop it down. Or less people living in cities? Be fantastic, but we don't have less people living in cities. We probably have more. Sling loading, thank you. I think I said that. I meant to say Captain Scott Ross was the first name, was his first name. Another fun fact, his first various jobs was called, was at a place called Terra Nova. Oh. I mean, on a Star Citizen note, that's the reason why we're probably never going to get car traversable cities in Star Citizen, because it doesn't work in terms of gameplay for purposes, and it also doesn't make sense in terms of how cities were built in the Star Citizen lore, because they were built in a time period when cars were literally dying. There's just not, there were no cars by the time of the Tavaran War. It was a miracle that that Tumbril actually existed, and Tumbril heavily was generated towards like geared towards outdoor exploration. So Tumbril is less of a car manufacturer and much more of an ATV manufacturer. You can also see that with Greycat. Like the PTV is very, very tiny. It's a golf cart. It's not a car, but it's designed for personal transportation in urban areas where you don't have a lot of space. Could you Ursa sling load outside of an Aquila? Maybe, if you had the right connection points. Could you give a bit of lore about LS3 and where the next race map it is in location? Well, it's green. I mean, it's Fairsalt's here. Fairsalt could tell you all about his home planet of green. What is the loop for the Lynx then? It doesn't seem to have much of a meta right now. The Lynx? It's just a fancy Ursa. It's just a luxury Ursa. It's like, what's the loop for an 890? I think eventually the Lynx will be used for luxury mission, VIP mission stuff, where you have to go in an area and take them to a location in a pressurized cabin, and that's pretty much what you'll do. But I don't think it's going to be. It's the same gameplay loop for the G12. Hello, may I talk to you about LS3 Green? Boys, that is neat. I mean, what we know about the Alice system is that it was terraformed by Gaia planetary surfaces, and because it was such a perfect system, it's huge. The Alice system is massive. It's got like 12 planets on it. And like 4 or 5 of them are habitable. It's huge. And during the process of terraforming those planets, several people took up the pastime of racing through the beautiful vistas, and eventually that became the Murray Cup, which is the kind of the progenitor of all modern spaceship racing tournaments. You work on computer rail systems in the Bay Area. It's good. You work on BART, Silky? I grew up in BART, so I know. Or MART, not MART. BART and Muni, the ones I know. Come visit Green. Visit our coastal city, Ayudo, and use our convenient shuttles to visit one of the many landmarks and resorts around the planet. Yeah. Anyone like the idea of an Atlas camper vehicle? I'd love an Atlas camper vehicle. An Atlas system that's converted for, like, as a mobile base, as a mobile, like, home. It'd be great. Yeah, I don't know about the AA batteries on top of Taiwan buildings. They're fishy. I think that may have been the case in like the 60s, but I don't know. I don't think anymore. When you get thirsty, stop by the Bearded Tiki on the beach under the New Horizons Speedway. Versal, when are we gonna? Who's the guy we're jointly gonna find and murder in the verse? The racing announcer. What's his name? I still remember Trevor Basque. Yeah, you need to find Trevor Basque. We're going to kill Trevor Basque. In game. YouTube, you know what, Twitch, it's a character in game. Do you know if the Emerald owners will get an Emerald Lynx? I don't know, maybe. We'll see when the Lynx is released in 3.19. Would be interested in a real science platform. You would or you wouldn't be. Fix it. Atlas food truck? Mwah. Like in Minecraft. Yes. Yes. Hey, Jack. Go to bed? I am going to go to bed here shortly. We just finished everything up. And I've been going for 3 hours, so about time to call it. Oh no, Atlas Cafe. All right, y'all. Thank you all so much for joining us here live. We'll be live tomorrow with a stream sponsored by the new movie Renfield, coming out on April 15th. where we'll be playing some Star Citizen and then moving on to some Everspace 2 towards the end. So definitely be cool if you come by and check us out there. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll be doing Captain's Table this week. Let me double check who I have on the Captain's Table this coming week. I believe I have Darge and Hey, It's Nick. I don't know what we'll be talking about. We might talk a little bit about ships in the verse and stuff like that. We'll probably just talk about the general kind of news and such. But yeah, thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.